for meget.
Ja, det lyder helt fint.
What a morning, du.
Yeah, what an evening, du.
Ja, i Bali, var Ole. Ellers dejligt at se dig igen. Det er jo altid,
Ja,
når der sker noget lort i verden, at vi kan mødes, hva'?
Ved du hvad, Lukas, jeg har lavet en PowerPoint, så den kommer til at blive lidt anderledes, end tror jeg, end hvad du har tænkt dig, men det kommer til at dække over mange af de her ting og vise, hvordan det er koblet sammen, inklusive krudtønden og andre ting, så jeg håber, det er okay.
Det er super okay, og jeg vil netop også nævne det, fordi vi lavede den der rigtig gode udsendelse inde i midtbyen der.
Det er jo det.
Det er jo det, der er vildt. Nå, men ved du hvad, så lad os da egentlig bare sige get go her, ikke?
Yep.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching. You can support our work on our website, ageoftruthtv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, BitChute and Brighteon. And remember to hit the bell for notifications. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook. To be sure not to miss any of our shows, you can sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruthtv.
Hello everyone and welcome to this special live stream edition of Age of Truth TV. I'm Lucas Alexander in Copenhagen, Denmark. It is the 9th of July 2022 and our very special guest is a good friend of the show who is on Bali in Indonesia and will join us today with a lecture, a PowerPoint presentation connecting the dots about several what he claims to be false flag attacks, mass shootings and terror attacks. And recently, just a few days ago, we had a mass shooting here in Copenhagen, Denmark, in the shopping center, in the shopping mall Fields in Copenhagen. And he's going to connect the dots between that and the recent shooting in Sweden and in Gotland, and also the shootings in America, along with a long list of past cases that he has spoken about and presented not only on our channel but also on his own platform lightonconspiracies.com. Please welcome today OLE DAMMEGARD. From Copenhagen, Denmark, and good evening to our special friend OLE DAMMEGARD joining us from Bali in Indonesia. Hello, Ole, how are you?
I am super good. Thank you so much. And thank you for inviting me yet again.
Absolutely, because you know who you're going to call if you have ghosts. You're going to call Ghostbusters, right? And if you're Agatha Christie, you're going to call Hercule Poirot or Miss Marple. But who are we going to call if something new and horrible is happening in the world, like a terror attack or a mass shooting or a school shooting? Well, we're going to call our top expert, OLE DAMMEGARD, as you are Danish, or OLE DAMMEGARD, as we always joke about that. That's the English way of saying it. And boy, there's a lot to talk about because yet again, the world is insane. Well, I guess it's always pretty insane, but now here in Denmark, we just had a very outrageous, horrendous incident happening a couple of days ago on the 3rd of July. It's now the 9th of July and we are live on Age of Truth TV, and we are here with Ole to connect the dots about what happened with the shooting that killed 3 people in the shopping mall Fields in Copenhagen. And Ole will talk about how that ties in with the recent shootings in Stockholm and also in the United States, and how I guess everything actually ties in, because you are a master of connecting the dots. So Ole, first of all, what happened in Fields in Copenhagen a couple of days ago, where a lone gunman shot a rifle and people were running out of the shopping mall screaming?
And to answer that, I would very much like to avoid answering that at this point, because I have prepared a PowerPoint that will take us back in time a bit, because I would very much like to say, instead of staring at Fields, or it was not in Stockholm, it was in Oslo that a recent shooting happened also, or in Berlin where a car attack happened, or Uvalde in Texas where a mass shooting happened, or in Buffalo, New York where a mass shooting happened. You have, or I would very much suggest that let's see if we can get a helicopter view by raising our eyes a bit to see, could these things be somehow connected? Because this is what I've been finding. I mean, I've been down this rabbit hole for some 40 years, where I have, to start with, I was just like everyone else. I was standing there staring at the crime scene, the local scene. But then over the years, I found more and more that, oh my God, what the hell is going on? This is happening identical as over there. And in that country is identical like over there. And by the way, that guy that was in Germany looked a lot like the guy in Toronto, who looked a lot like the guy in Australia, or there. So over the years, I have come to conclusions about how these things are carried out, and very often how they're carried out by the same team that is traveling around. I call them the Global Tour of Terror. I have the
Global Tour of Terror. Wow, that's an amazing thing. And you're talking, of course, about the phenomenon that we know as crisis actors, right?
I'm talking about that. For a long time, there's been a small group of individuals that do not care so much about us, but are very focused on their own desires and greeds and power, bizarre, weird things. And for many, many years or decades or even more, they have been trying to find ways of how to control the population, turn the population into slaves, and also raise themselves almost to the state of gods. I mean, this is from the old Romans and onwards. It's the same thing now. Now they've turned into, they're hiding themselves in corporations and stuff, but we're looking at the very same thing. But to be able to control a population, you need fear. It is only through fear that they can control us. So ever since the old Roman Empire, I think it was the Romans that came up with these different, very few templates, but how to do it. And one of the major one is problem, reaction, solution. They secretly create a problem, like a boom and a bang, or a virus, or an explosion, or an alleged mass shooting, alleged financial crash, boom, bang, something like that over here, so that we would go into an emotional reaction where we said, oh my God, something needs to be done. This is crazy. And then we turn towards the people that we think are there to protect us, not understanding that it's actually them who are doing it to us, saying, save us, save us. And they will then say, well, the only way we can save you in this horrible situation with that horrible problem over there is, and in comes the solution, boom. And the solution was there from day one. This is the thing you have to understand. The solution was there from day one. They had to create a problem big enough to scare the living bejesus out of us so that we would accept the solution and say, oh, thank you for being so kind and make me even more of a slave. Because this is exactly what happens every single time. Problem, reaction, solution. It's actually problem, reaction, fascism. Because every single time something happens, your freedoms are more and more taken away. You have to pay more and more for your own slavery. You have to pay for unjust wars. You have to pay. And your liberty just goes smaller, 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 but it's for your protection because they care so much about us. That I would say I've got like these itchy fingers that really is what I feel. So if we go through what has happened the last few years, there was this alleged virus that suddenly turned the world into a masked, planet. But it had amazing side effects because this virus was so violent and so dangerous that all mass shootings stopped, that all alleged terror attacks stopped, that ISIS went into hiding, that it was amazing. There was nothing.
It was a miracle, Ole. It was a miracle.
Hallelujah.
They were also under lockdown.
They were under lockdown. No more beheadings in front of green screens. There was like no alleged terror attacks that was carried out in front of. Nothing happened. No mass shootings, no cars driving into crowds. It was amazing. And then when people started understanding that, okay, I'm not really sure I get this anymore. You say that the virus is this and that and this and that and that. And if I take a shot, then I'm fine. Then you take a shot and they say, no, you're not fine at all. We're very sorry, you just have to take another booster. Am I fine then? No, sorry, you're not fine. You need to take another booster. If I take the other booster, are you fine then? No, sorry, you're not fine. You will still be this and that and that. You cannot travel on time, but you need to take another booster. After a while, people are like, why on earth would I do that? Especially when I see people starting falling over dead on football pitches and stuff. I'm sort of like, I'm really starting to be like not easily scared here because it's like also as soon as one thing disappears, then it's a Delta vial or a monkeypox. Sorry, the K is silent, but so it's not monkeypox, it's moneypox. And it's all the time the same individuals behind it saying, I have to do it, I have to do it. And they seem to make absolute billions on everything I had to do, including destroying my own body. So I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. The fear, the power of fear is loosening up because people are saying, I'm not doing it. I just don't want to do it. So we have now come to a point where this doesn't work anymore because the power of this group that is not very big, they're trying to take over this beautiful world. That is it. They're not hiding it. It goes under many different names. The New World Order Agenda, Agenda 21. You got the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You got the Amos Schwab, Klaus, the dear guy from World Economic Forum. These type of Dr. Evil, where's the white cat? These type of individuals that are just saying, we will take over everything and you will own nothing and you will be happy. What? Anyway, that is what they're saying. That is what they're planning to do. That the plan is moving forward. So how can they do it without us saying absolutely no way? They need distractions. They need to distract us. That is it. So the key in all of these operations is distraction. Look the other way. Boom, over there. Look over there. Look over there. So here suddenly, after ISIS and all of these terror groups, alleged terror groups, they've had a really nice, well-earned holiday for a couple of years, and now it's time to get back to work because, come on, you can't be lazy.
Rest forever, huh?
You can't rest forever. So what I want to tell you is that over the years also, I found some really weird things going on. One of them is that they're using color codes, because this is a small group of people in the know. And they have color codes, I think, as a silent communication system where they can communicate with each other wherever they are around the world, so that there are no phone calls that can be tapped, there are no emails that can be traced or anything like that. So how do they do it? It goes under the name, at the moment, under George Soros' Purple Revolution. That's one of the names. The color purple right now is super important, especially when it comes to the US, and the color magenta is very important when it comes to European countries, other countries. So it's these two colors, and these color codes have been used by CIA and many intelligence agencies for years. So you had, for instance, and also in media, you had the Green Revolution in the North African countries, where these green revolutions that was totally controlled by these agencies took over the power of several countries there. You had the Pink Revolution in Georgia, you had the yellow one in the Ukraine, you had these, but the color codes now for the last at least 3-4 years have been purple in the US and magenta in Europe or other places. And the way it shows is that in the photos, when you read an article or something like that, it won't be in the top, but a little down, you'll start seeing there will be something like, it will always be in the center of the image. It will be some very strong purple. It can be the hair on somebody, one of the persons being interviewed, super purple. It can be the background, super purple. It can be a balloon on a grave. It can be a flower on a grave. It can be, these photos are absolutely staged to show the color. Also, you will see that when a political party is taken over in one of these countries or whatever, they will change the color. They could have been like blue forever. The logos are blue. Suddenly, they're purple. Radio stations, suddenly their logo is purple. This and that, suddenly this is purple. It changed and changed, so you can start seeing it. And I believe that this is I'm not sure. I'm only observing it, so I'm not sure. I'm sure there's a lot more reason for these colors to be used. But one of them, I'm sure, is that anyone that is in the know can sit, for instance, in the Bahamas with a big cigar. He just goes through the paper and check it out. Okay, but purple. Okay, it's ours. I was a bit unsure, but now I see it's ours. That one, yeah, this. And so also you got the news anchors and the people reading the news. When the days that they pump out really crap that they're not even aware of themselves because they're only reading the teleprompters, but when it's one of their operations, very often they will have a magenta or a deep purple top on if it's a woman, or a purple tie.
It's so amazing because everything is symbolism, right? And they always use color codes and numerology, numbers and gematria, because it's always happening on certain days, certain numbers tying in together, and when you add it up, it's something that ties into the Kabbalah or the gematria, basically.
It's very true what you're saying. Sometimes I think some researchers take it over the top, because I mean, with gematria, you can find connections to anything. I mean, if you take a pineapple or pineapple, P-I-N-E, that means like 666 or whatever, you can, or it means 972. If you put that together times 3, it's like 711. It's like, sometimes I feel it's like too much, but yes, for sure. The dates are very, very important. Many times it is connected to death. It might be like Koten, for instance, was on Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, which people think that is a romantic day. No, it was William Shakespeare that made it into a romantic thing. It is actually the beheading of, I think there were 3 different people called Valentine that was beheaded on that date. So
and what you're mentioning, I just want to remind the viewers, because we did a show, you and I, about that in 2014 or 15, I think it was. It was a so-called terror attack in Denmark, which of course it really wasn't, but you explain all of that in that show. It's just to tell people that was something that also happened in Denmark, and we haven't had anything like that since then in 2015. And yeah, you can go on.
And also, Lucas, that was I was on location. If you remember, I came to Denmark right after it happened, because I had also predicted it 1 month before that it was going to go down. I thought it was the 14th of January. I pointed it out on international radio and some really big shows, saying this is going to be very close to Nørreport station, within a few hundred meters from there, on the day, in the evening, and so on. And I believe that maybe it was because it got exposed in big time like that. And also people, I know that quite a few people in Denmark went to that place with cameras standing waiting to see if anything was going to happen. So I think maybe they postponed it because it was like it would be too obvious. And then they waited exactly 1 month, and boom, on the 14th of February instead, they went live with the exact thing in Kruthen and outside of the synagogue.
Yeah, but basically on that day when you predicted it, that was when that thing happened, the terror attack happened in Paris with that venue there, Charlie Hebdo, wasn't it?
No, it was that was on the 9th of January. That was on the 9th of January. It was going to go, if I was correct, it was 5 days later. They were going to hit Copenhagen, then they were going to hit Florence in Italy. So that got delayed because of this whole thing. But you have the same key people, and I'm going to bring up Lars Vilks, who is an artist. I think he was an absolute asset, who has been a key person in some psychological operations over the years, getting this whole anti-Islam thing going, pointing towards, freedom of speech, meaning that you can say whatever, and being really horrible to people from other countries, but it would be protected. It's a theme that has been spread all over the world, used by these agencies, and where he was one of the key players. He is now officially dead through an accident in Sweden that I'm going to come into. I believe it about 0% that was an accident. But anyway, Lars Vilks was connected to Charlie Hebdo. He was in Kruthen that day. He was the guy they said was the target for this alleged attack. And then after that, he's been like central over and over. They keep bringing him up again, or they have, and he had like 24/7 bodyguard protection for like 17 years because he made a drawing, a really ugly drawing of Muhammad. They say that it looks like a dog. It's like a scribble. It's not even a drawing. It's like the whole thing is just not well, whatever. But anyway, so I would very much like, I prepared a PowerPoint. So if we could do that, I share screen, and then I just take you on a trip down memory lane, and just go through and show this is what happened the last, it's not even 6-7 months, something like that. It's very short time after the Corona thing started to fall apart. They couldn't keep people in the grip of panic anymore. They needed distraction, and in on stage came these things when it started saying boom, boom, boom again. And
also, of course, the Ukrainian war, let's not forget that. But that's a whole other topic, of course. We would love to see your PowerPoint here, and your presentation is going to be so interesting, tying in all of the latest with the old stuff and what happened in the past. So take it away, Ole.
Can you see my screen now?
I can see your screen, yes.
So there's a film called Trains, Planes and Automobiles. I call this Shoes, Bikes and Baby Carts. It's a similar thing. So anyway, I just want to say also, it's unbelievable. The censorship that is going on right now, it's unbelievable. And so people say, where are you? Have you stopped? Have you chickened out? Not at all, not at all. It's just I'm being deleted, or more or less everything. Even on Patreon, where we were supposed to be safe, they said that I was contacted by Patreon. They canceled my account. They said, if you don't take away things from your website, not from the Patreon platform, but from your website, we will have to delete your account.
Really? Did they say that? I mean, that's outrageous. I mean, we know about the censorship. We are under that same attack as well, and everybody else. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's incredible. It's right in your face. People don't wake up to understand what we are going through. All of us who's trying to spread the truth around in order to wake people up. I mean, this is extraordinary, but I'm very sorry to hear that they went that far, Ole.
Yeah, and it was because that I did a recorded testimonial, a 4-hour testimonial to the Corona Investigative Committee. Boom. They said, you have to delete that, otherwise we will shut down you. So that shows you, I mean, this is like an international group of international high-level lawyers that are putting together a legal case, and that's the one they want to shut down. You know, so anyway. So I also want to say that I'm not saying these things lightly, but I have up to date been able to predict 64 of these alleged terror attacks on mass shooting up to 2 months before they happened. Now my last name has become a verb, not from me, but it's become sort of like a thing. So hashtag Dammegarding or hashtag Dammegard is to find these clues, because I have been informed, and this is also how I managed to predict Kruthen, which was the first one I nailed. It was the first time I really started becoming aware of that this was actually what they were doing, because I was contacted by an insider who said, you're doing good, but you're missing out on the hidden clues. And I was like, what hidden clues? I mean, who would be stupid enough to leave something like that in the evidence, in the forensic evidence? And he said, it's because of the law of karma. These people who carry these things out are doing a lot of bad, and they are very aware of this universal law that is very real according to them. What you do comes back to you. So the way they interpret that law, according to this person, is that if they show us what they're going to do, even in subtle ways, and we don't react, then indirectly we consent, and then the bad karma's on our shoulders, not theirs. So it's in their selfish needs to show us. They do it not because they're kind, not because they're sloppy. They do it because they want to get out of the grip of this law of karma. So this is, after I understood that that is actually what is happening, as soon as something happens, I look for the clues. I know they're there somewhere. If it's their operation, I know that it is there sometimes or somewhere. So this is also what I'm going to point out here, because the clues are there. They're right in your face very often. So over the years also, just as a starter, I found out that I encountered, like, there was shoes everywhere. Shoes. Whatever thing that was connected to death, there was a photo of a shoe. On crime scenes, on murder scenes, on whatever, the photos were of shoes. And the photos were more or less always taken by photographers from Associated Press, Reuters, or Getty Images. And I mean, it's Rothschild and the elite. These are the things. So I got, quite interested in these shoes. Why are there shoes? It doesn't make any sense. And then over the years, I started finding out that ever since the alleged Holocaust, we have been connecting shoes with death. We go to an alleged concentration camp. They said, look here, there's a pile of shoes over here. That is proof that 1 million people died. I would say, as a forensic, examiner, I would say, when you really look at it, the proof is that there's a pile of shoes over there. It shows nothing else. But it could be that it's because a lot of people that's a different one, but it shows nothing. It's proof of absolutely nothing. But the shoes have been used at least since the Second World War and onwards, connected to death. And so I started looking, for instance, here's the Dayton, Ohio mass shooting. They say that a lot of people got killed on this parking lot, and this is the proof. I'm like, proof of what? Was it a shoemaker that died, or what is happening here? How? I ask you, how did this happen? These shoes, if people were killed there, were they shot out of their shoes? Was there sort of like a bomb that exploded and they vaporized, and the only thing that was left was shoes? Why are there not stains? Why are there not the blood? Why are there not what is that? It's not one image from this shooting. It's all over. There's so many of this like that.
That's so remarkable with all of those shoes there. I mean, that picture is Incredible. Actually, it reminds me of, you know, that they have like a monument at the near alongside the Danube, the Donau River in Budapest with all of the shoes. Yeah, you know about this, of course. Yeah.
Yes.
Symbolism.
But if you look at the image on the top, imagine what the photographer had to gone through to take that photo from that angle. He has been on his stomach, flat down. Why would he or she do a thing like that? And how could he get the yellow plastic cone to fit exactly like that? Is a real accomplishment to do that. And why? These are just shoes. Wouldn't it be better to focus on the crime itself? But the shoes have been used over and over and over again when it's connected to death. And victims are having one shoe off, two shoes off. They're lying shoes in big piles. Some even rubber boots at the Queen Day massacre and alleged massacre in Holland. There was a rubber boot in the street. I mean, a Wellington. How did that even happen? I mean, normally you have to be like two people to get them off. So it's like, why are they there? And so. One time I was contacted by another insider, a Freemason, who said the shoes are there because of symbolic value. They show one shoe off shows that the individual is doing it voluntarily, just like in their own ceremonies inside their headquarters and so on. One shoe off, that is a sign of that you're doing it voluntarily. Two shoes off mean homage to the sacred space. That is what he said. So I thought, whoa, okay. That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, now I see it. But that also shows that in that case, we're talking about that there's a Freemasonic agenda behind these operations if the shoes appear like that. But then I have a friend who's a CIA whistleblower. He was working for the CIA with Black Ops for many, many years. He was also involved with MK Ultra and so on. And he said that he believes that there's a whole different level to these shoes than I was aware of. He wasn't aware of these shoes either. He was quite shocked when he saw all of these, because I showed like hundreds and hundreds in a presentation. And so he said, I think, that when you turn people into assets through mind control, the way they do it is they break these individuals down. They take people that are very open and easily hypnotized and so on, and they break them down through absolute horror, through torture, through rape, through all kinds of things, very intense pain. And what these agencies have found in these bizarre experiments is that when the pain is too intense, for some reason, I think it's the soul that tries to escape. And what it does, it creates a secondary personality. Like suddenly, bloop, there's another personality. And so what they found out and what they have created a system of is that first they get bloom so that there's at least two personalities. And then what they then need is a trigger so that they can, through a trauma, trigger that person to go into that personality. And then that personality can be accessed and used as an asset to do whatever. And sometimes the first personality doesn't even know what the second have done. It's very weird. And you will see many, many movies, with exactly this happening. So what Cody said, that what they do is when they break someone down, then they have, for instance, every time somebody is being raped, they play the same song, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, or they show a symbol of an upside down dolphin or whatever it is. Because in the end, you only need to show the trigger for this person. As soon as they play the song, the person clicks into that traumatic state, and then boom, you're in that personality, a trigger. And so
and they can actually create many alters, within this, as when they compartmentalize the mind. And as you say, many trigger songs and words are used, and also from Disney films and Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland and all of these things. So it all also ties into the whole Hollywood scene there.
Exactly. And so what Cody suggested was that he thinks that these shoes are like a global mind control fear trigger for the global population, because for so many years, when there is something that has to do with death, they leave the shoe there as well. And I interviewed this psychologist who said that we're so focused with our own destruction, we're so fascinated by our own death that's why, for instance, if there's an accident in the highway, people will slow down and, oh God, I don't want to see any blood, but oh my God, I saw some blood, We're so fascinated by that. But what they're doing is, what this psychologist told me as well, is that you want to see, but you don't want to see. So when you see something horrible that connects you with your own death, your eyes tries to avoid it. And then they find something to rest on, which they find, that something they know and something that they know is safe. In this case, the shoe. But the shoe is the trigger as well. So you get like a double bang. The horror and the shoe, the horror and the shoe, the horror and the shoe. So it's like boom, 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 boom. And I don't know about you, Lucas, but when you look in, I don't know, have you ever driven down a highway and there's one shoe lying there and you're like, who the hell dropped that shoe? Who you have like maybe 10,000 cars passing that shoe every day thinking, a shoe. That's strange. That's strange. This is the cheapest psychological operation ever. They just throw out a shoe, boom, there you go. And that keeps the fear going. In the morning, you get out of the bed. What do? The first thing you put on the news, another shooting, another terror attack, and the radio, and then you put on your shoes and boom, you're back. So I think most of us are sort of in a constant PTSD state of uncertainty and insecurity, and it's being triggered again and again, and we don't even know it. So
maybe it's like a symbolism for the red slippers in The Wizard of Oz, huh? Judy Garland's shoes.
It wasn't slippers, but yeah, exactly. It's over and over and over. It's so many places. When you start looking into it, they're all over the place. And it's not even only the Holocaust. This is the Balkan War. You had the Vietnam War. You had the 6-Day War. You had the Korean War. You had all of the terror attacks. You had, Charlie Hebdo. And most of the time it's Nike shoes nowadays. Nike, all over the place. Nike. Also, I would say product placement. But so
product placement, maybe symbolism for the Greek goddess. Nike, huh?
Yep, for sure, which is also connected to death again. So it's victory and death, connected. So anyway, what I've done is that over the years, I've done many shows about these shoes, and also in a funny way. So it's become a joke. People are joking, oh my God, a shoe again. And they're sort of like, I didn't believe you. And then I saw the shoe, it's like on, and I watched the news, and then the shoe, and there was an alleged airplane crash, and then a shoe. And
Ole, maybe what you're really revealing is a shoe thing, not a shooting. Do pardon the pun.
And if you know the real name of the Holocaust is Shugan, something like that. Shoe. It's very, very close to the word shoe. Anyway, so like I said, I put a lot of effort in spreading it, and it's become a joke. And as soon as you start laughing, you get out of the spell. You come out of fear mode. So. And also, if you look at I looked at many public mainstream media websites, BBC and so on, when they have documentaries, and then the shoe appears, and then you see in the comments, come on, what the hell is that? You have, so they've started to loosen the grip. They've started to lose it with the shoe. And so I've started to see that there's a transfer where they try to go from a shoe to something else because it's not working anymore. And this is what I'm going to show you in this presentation, is that I think that they're trying to go from a shoe to a bicycle, but there's a transition time where they have to use both of them. And now the bicycle, I've been after them pointing out the bicycle. So now they're trying to go to baby carts as well. So they're trying to really keep the fear level high, which they need, because otherwise we won't do as they say, but it's not working anymore. It's falling apart. So I'm just going to go a quick through some of these events. A while ago, in 2021, there was a bow and arrow attack in Norway, when you look at it, when I really looked into it, it's a low-level, low-budget, absolute crap operation with no evidence, no nothing. And you will see that it's repeated also in the operations in Denmark and Norway lately. It's like, really, it's so bad you cannot even believe it. But if you control the outlet of information through media, you can say whatever you want, and that is what matters. Whatever comes out that way, you don't have to do anything on location. Anyway, what they always do nowadays is that the assassin or patsy or the attacker or whatever is normally nowadays, he has some kind of dual citizenship. He's connected to more than one nation. And I believe that is why they say why they do that is so that it will emotionally involve more than one nation as well. So he's German, Iranian, or he's Tunisian, French Tunisian, or he's Turkish Afghani, or he's Danish Norwegian, like this guy in we were being told here that he was Danish, but Norwegian citizenship in Norway. And it said that he walked around with a bow and arrow shooting people. I mean, when you look at the arrows, there weren't any Fletchers on them. I mean, you can't hit with these type of things. There were no images from the crime scene. There was no images of nothing except a lot of police cars, a lot of blue lights, a lot of people in uniform and SWAT team uniforms running around looking very serious, but no proof of anything. And you'll see that it's a standard procedure all the time. We think, 100 police cars, that means something bad has happened. No, it means there's 100 police cars and they put on the lights so that it looks like something has happened. You cannot jump to conclusion until you really look at the evidence. And so right after this killing of a lot of people, nobody stopped him. He was walking around shooting people in a supermarket and so on. There was the government called together and said, oh my God, it's 10 years since the mass shooting on Utøya and the blowing up of the government building, which I've also done intensive research around. And also I done a presentation called When Terror Struck Norway. Please check that out and you will see I've taken it down step by step. It's unbelievable. Total inside job together with Mossad and CIA in the background. It's a NATO operation, and NATO is the key word to understand how these things are happening at the moment. NATO, and the Gladio network, the ghost army of NATO under the surface, in connection with private contractors and so who are part of carrying it out. Anyway, so right after this happened, 10 years after the horrible thing on Utøya, we had the new Prime Minister, Gahr Støre, I think his name is, who was in the outskirts of the Utøya massacre. He was not a key player like Gro Harlem Brundtland, the former Prime Minister of Norway, and Jens Stoltenberg, who was the Prime Minister at the time, and who was then, I believe, rewarded for his loyalty in that operation and became head of NATO, which up until then he was against NATO, and suddenly he was head of NATO. I mean, go figure, it's amazing. And anyway, in the government, in the new government in Norway, there were two people that were from the island that was said to have been on the island when the shooting occurred. So that's interesting as well. So, and then one of the journalists that keep writing about these things in Norway, his name is Breivik. I mean, it's not that common, that name, but often they have the word games, and you have to look at this as a subliminal thing. It's how to get into our subconscious. That is the name of the game here. So here,
Breivik was, of course, the name of the shooter on Utøya, that island where Anders Breivik, I believe that was his name, shot all of these political students in 2000 and was it 11 or something?
Yeah, but once again, he is said to have shot them. I tell you, the truth is totally different. Anders Breivik is the name of the guy or phantom identity that they're blaming this thing on. Anyway, we see the proof of this shooting is here. This is it. But when you look at that, what is that even? Is it even an arrow from a bow and arrow? There are no fletches on it. And it looks like it's nailed into, like, in between two planks. But that is the proof that 5 people were killed. I think it was 5 or 6. Okay, so that's the only proof you have it. And then there's another very strange image. If you see that, you will see that it's the same thing, but at night. But next to it, there's this police plastic cordon off band. And it's often with these plastic things that they use to make the pointers towards the next attack. So I'm always really looking at them, you know, like, what is it saying? What are they trying to do here? And if you look at that, it looks like Borelli. Actually, it's Puliti, but it's upside down and inverted, you know, because the light goes through the plastic. So I was checking out, this was in November last year, and I asked, because for me, it looked like Russian, the spelling Russian. So I had people from Russia, Bulgaria, other countries look at it, and I said, Borelli, does it mean anything? And they say, no. But it is a place in Kazakhstan, up in the northwest of Kazakhstan, in the gas area. So this was the first time I've ever found a clue that was pointing towards Kazakhstan. And Kazakhstan is an interesting place because the New World Order have, for the last 20 to 25 years, prepared like a capital for the New World Order is in a city called, I think it's Astana. It's super Freemasonic. All of it is built Freemasonic, and it's just empty, waiting for the New World Order to change their center of power to there. So Kazakhstan has always been interesting because of this bizarre city. So anyway, that was the first time that Kazakhstan even came on the map, because I thought it could be just a coincidence, but at the same time, it really looks like they did an effort to show something with this Borelli. This is the way they put these clues that are out there. So that was the first time I pointed towards Kazakhstan. Then also one thing that keeps happening is that a terror attack happens, but right when it happens, there's a movie being released with the exact same theme on the date when it happens, or just the day before. So why they do that? I think it's maybe that it's free publicity, but also maybe pre-programming and also saying this is what we're going to do, because there've been a lot of writing about the movie while it was being made. I don't know. I'm just saying there's a pattern of this, and I'm going to show you again. And this.
But Ole, can I just jump in quickly? Isn't that exactly what happened now here in May with the new Top Gun movie coming out with Tom Cruise? That all of those things that is connected with guns and the Top Gun, and I think there's even some symbolism in that as well, that all of that publicity came at the same time where all of these shootings are now taking place again.
Yes, could be, but I'm talking more specific, very specifically like this. For instance, the movie was called Wild Man, and it was about a guy walking around inside supermarkets and places shooting bow and arrow at people, and the poster you see there is with the guy with a bow and arrow, and then like a police or SWAT team type of looking guy on the poster, and it was to be released right there. And I think it was Nordisk Film, which I think it's interesting because I'm going to point a little bit at them regarding the field shooting, because often they cooperate between countries, you know, Denmark, Sweden, Norway, and so on. And in the background, especially of Norway, you have the CIA. It's a stronghold of the CIA and Freemasonry. Unbelievable power in Norway. Anyway, so this is one of the photos from the crime scene in Norway there. And you know, like, these photographers are professionals. And also the photos that are being published, I used to work at it as a newspaper. I mean, maybe there's like 2,000 photos taken from a big event or whatever. You handpick like 5 or 10 of them very closely, and then you take that one and that one. Don't take that. That's crap. So why are certain photos being published? What, like this photo, for instance, what is it showing? It's showing more or less we got a forensic somebody walking inside a door. We got a police officer standing there looking very like authoritarian. So this must be serious. Then you got the colors of this warning thing. So red is the subconscious for danger. And sort of like, oh, something must have happened here. And then you have a bottle in the street and a tag with a number that is normally thing that is pointing out evidence. So something must have happened here. But please remember this photo, because I'm going to come back to it and point to what it's actually doing there. Because if you look at that photo, why didn't the photographer just focus on the two people walking in through the door, even though what the hell is that? That is not a good photo. You know, it shows absolutely nothing. So what is the rest of the photo? What is that to the left of the photo? Because I was like, that looks like Royal Air Force, the emblem of the Royal Air Force, or it looks like bullseye because we're talking bow and arrow, or what is that? What is that? And so I'm going to come back to that one, because it didn't take long before we had a new attack in Norway. This time it was a terror attack of a guy with no shirt. It was in November, no shoes. Here we have the shoes and a knife. So that is a real terror attack for you. Oh my God. So what did the police do? They tried to drive and hit him with a car and then try to squash him up against the wall, crush him. I mean, it's been filmed, but when I know exactly how they filmed it, you know, it's there to create drama. And by the way, in November, do you walk around like that in Norway? I don't think so. Anyway, so the thing that really caught my interest was that this was a 33-year-old, they loved the 33, citizen from Kazakhstan who had, they say that he had been part of several Norwegian films and a known TV series. So he was an actor from Kazakhstan. I mean, how many people do you know from Kazakhstan? I know one, and that's here on Bali. I never, ever in Scandinavia encountered one. So I thought, whoa, that's the second one pointed to Kazakhstan. So I went out in my newsletter in November saying, I have no idea, but it's pointing towards Kazakhstan. This was before Kazakhstan was in the news. And the Ukraine as well, I pointed out in December. This was way before it absolutely went down. But it was NATO operation. So what does that mean? It means that the things in Kazakhstan were somehow connected to the same forces that could carry these things out, that could control a Norwegian police car, for instance, police investigations, murder investigations, the media. Who can do that? Who can do that? Who has the power to do it? That's the ones we have to look at. Okay, so right after that, we had the Alec Baldwin incident. Do you remember that? When suddenly yes. Alec Baldwin, yes. There was this film set in I think it was New Mexico, and they were doing a cowboy Western movie with Alec Baldwin as producer and the main actor. And in that, he just happened, they were doing rehearsing a scene, and without him knowing, the gun had been loaded with a live round. And he was having, there was this woman that was working there as a part of the crew, and she was directing him. They were going to do sort of like he was going to aim more or less into the camera and then fire a shot, or that was the idea. So he says that she was aiming, helping him, you know, she said, no, aim here, and more it aimed at her. They were standing very close to each other. And then suddenly he said a shot went off, because he said he never touched the trigger, but he said that he cocked the gun, and then when suddenly the hammer just went down and the shot went off, but he never pressed the trigger. He never touched the trigger.
He didn't even press the trigger. I didn't know that detail there, actually.
No, the thing is that it's a single action. And if you've done anything with single action guns, the Western, I mean, I used to be a gunslinger. My whole, I was Wild West authentic thing. I've been dealing a lot with single action guns. And what he's saying, you cannot do it. It is absolutely impossible. But anyway, so how is this connected? Because that's on the other side of the Atlantic Sea, and my God, what is going on? But it was a massive thing. It was a massive thing, especially because we've had an agenda where they've been trying to take away the guns from the population. With all of these mass shootings, the main goal has been to make the weapons, especially or semi-automatic rifles like the AR-15, the problem. You know, not
especially in America, they want to take the guns away from people in America, and they've been wanting to do that for a very long time. We don't have the same thing here in Europe because people don't have access to guns in the same way than they do for hunting and other things in America, huh?
That's exactly it. That's where all the mass shootings are. All the serial killers are more or less in the US. That's where they are. But when you look behind these operations, there's a whole different thing going on. Anyway, so Alec Baldwin was, of course, distraught and everything. But when you start looking into it, like here is exactly the type of gun he had. It's a Colt 45 Peacemaker, it's called also. When the thing is with a single action, it's not like an automatic pistol where you press or like a toy gun, like that's called double action. When you press the trigger, the hammer goes back and then it falls forward. But at the same time, it rotates. It rotates the chambers so that they get into position, and then the hammer can hit on spot right in the middle of the bullet, the back of the bullet. You know, that's so that it fires. But if you're halfway, the magazine or whatever you want to call it, I'm sorry, the thing in the middle is not got. There's like 5 different steps. That's the famous tick 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 when you hear when they cock the hammer. That moves into position, and if you're not all the way up there, it's not aligned with the live round in the weapon. So even if the hammer, for some unbelievable reason, managed to go down, it wouldn't land on the live round because the live round wouldn't be in position. And the only way you can do it is by pressing the trigger. When you press the trigger, you can do like fanning like this because you have the trigger in and that moves all the time and you get the bullet. So what he says, absolute bullshit. It's just not true. But anyway, when you look at that from a different point of view, because would it be possible that there's some psychological operation going on here? Because through him, they managed to make it that we have to be restrict much stricter gun laws within the movie business as well. So that they're like trying to get and also get big headlines because he's a famous actor that is kind of going downhill. So maybe he's one that can be, throw him out the window and he can be used more as a somebody you blame, a patsy, whatever. But anyway, so a whole big thing came up. But here's the victim, who is from Ukraine. Please remember, how many times did you hear about the Ukraine before the war? Not a lot. And then just before the war, Ukraine, it started coming like that. And so she was a Ukrainian filmmaker, they say. But look at these, like, think subconsciously. Here's a photo of her. When you look at her background, she made absolutely more or less no movies. In the IMDb website where you can see like filmmakers and their backgrounds and everything they've done, she's done more or less nothing. But they say, oh, she was an upcoming star, she was amazing, so all of these type of things. Okay, fine. But at the same time, when you look at the connection and look at these photos, these are the photos that are being spread about her. Please think that what we're talking about is a shooting. It's a shooting that ended up with killing somebody. So look at the background here. When you look at the background, that looks more or less like in an action movie when somebody is hiding in a dark room and another guy is firing a machine gun through the wall. You have the light coming through. This background you have with Alec Baldwin there. Can you see the exact same light effect? And then you have her in Ukrainian outfit, a national, some kind of dress. And then you got the blue and yellow, which is the colors for Ukraine and Sweden in the background at the Sundance, they say. And here's another very odd image. What is it on the wall? look at these things. Do they not look like bullet holes, but like enlarged, like somebody has shot through metal? We're talking subconsciously again. Please be aware of that. It's subliminal. But she's standing there. It looks like somebody had just taken a machine gun across the street. But look also, we have this photo, remember that, with this weird thing to the left? Can you see that, and then look at the wall behind her?
Yes, it looks absolutely similar. I'll give you that.
But
and even that picture you showed before, where you said that she was in this garment, in this folk outfit from Ukraine, a Ukrainian thing. There's also like a flower there that could be like a bullet hole on that side of her jacket there. It's a little bit similar, like, right?
Yeah, that's really, I didn't even see that. But it's exactly what you say. This is how they do it. This is sort of, it goes in. You just see the photo. Oh, she was so pretty. Oh, she died so young. Oh, it's horrible. What you're seeing is that, and then you add, I mean, is that a flower or does it look like a bullet wound? I mean,
that's kind of really, you know, and I don't know if you know where she was actually shot by Alec Baldwin. Do you know that? Was that there or?
It's really bizarre because they say that.
Or was she shot at all? Is she still alive? Are you speculating that it didn't happen?
I'm super speculating. Super. He says that the shot went off. They were inside a church, like a fake church, and he said it took 45 minutes before he understood that she had been shot. 45 minutes. Okay. I mean, that gun, if that goes off, I mean, I have shot inside buildings. That is pretty loud, I tell you that. There's no like, oh, did it fire or did it not? You know when it fired. And it said that it hit her in the stomach, went through her body, and then hit the director, the deputy director, no, not deputy, but the film director, in the shoulder. I mean, how can it hit her in the stomach and him in the shoulder? And then after 45 minutes, they come out and they tell Alec Baldwin, she died. And he's like, was she shot? And then they show the bullet and says, this killed her. So did they go in and pick it out of his shoulder? Like, oh my God, we got it. Or did they take out a big Bowie knife like they did in the old Western movies and just like this? I would say they would take him to hospital. That's not what we see here. And his background is also very questionable, very, very questionable when you see his film background within movies. So in my world, that was absolute bullshit on steroids, but massive in media, and possibly Alec Baldwin being set up. Possibly he was being set up and he couldn't defend himself, and suddenly he was the one being blamed for it. But
he certainly seems very, very genuine when you've seen something with him. I mean, he seemed to be totally shattered by that incident.
Yes, and what is a good actor doing? I mean, what are they doing? What do they do for a living? They are very convincing.
Trying to be good actors, huh?
Yeah, and then the theme of the movie was called Rust. The theme of the movie was somebody being shot by mistake. And one of the few movies that she had been part of was called Blind Fire, about a police that shot a guy by mistake. And then it turned out
that's quite a title considering what happened, huh?
And then, please, if you see it as a psychological operation that tries to accomplish something, you will see, it makes sense. Or if you see it as just coincidence, okay, fine. This is why I often show again and again, more and more and more and more and more. And in the end, even doubters will say, this is really bizarre. And anyway, so also, she was the wife of a lawyer that worked for Latham and Watkins. That were lawyers representing Clintons. The Clintons that are, I mean, when you look at the crime register of these guys, it's like unbelievable. And then there was only one other person that, as far as I know, have ever been killed during a film, on a film set by a mistake. And that was the son of
Bruce Lee.
Thank you. My brain just went out the window. Bruce Lee, Brendan Lee, who died exactly the same. He was shot. They were filming what is called The Crow, a movie, and he, by mistake, was killed on set because somebody, by mistake, had loaded the gun with a live round, which is a no, absolute no. You have people that are specialized in taking care of the guns, and just before the shooting, they instruct and they're responsible for the guns at all time. But do you know what? It was the very same person that gave the gun to Brandon Lee when he died as who handed the gun to Alec Baldwin when this happened.
No,
yes.
For real?
This is the guy to the left here.
That's extraordinary, though. I had no idea. That's such an interesting point. How can this even be? Yeah. Okay.
Why is he still in the business if he made such a blunder that it killed Brandon Lee? And Bruce Lee died under weird circumstances as well. He died very strangely as well. Yeah. So anyway, we have, please bear with me because I'm going to go through it quite a lot. But here we have Lars Vilks, who is the alleged target for Kruthen, who is this artist that made artwork out of crap. I mean, he was putting together sticks and think, in my world.
He was the one who had made a drawing of the Prophet Muhammad with a bomb in the turban. Wasn't that how it was, basically?
I don't even think there was a bomb. It was just that the body was a dog. But that theme started, I think it was Jyllands-Posten in 2004, was the first one that started with the making caricatures of Muhammad, something you shouldn't do out of respect for a lot of people who would be very, very offended. But they did it because of freedom of speech. Okay, fine. So 2004, there was a massive big thing where it went all over the world, where Danish embassy personnel was thrown out. I think they were even deported from some Muslim countries because of this it was a big scandal.
Yeah, and the Muslims were burning the Danish flag, huh?
Yeah, at least that was what we were shown. Because this could very well be an operation again. But we saw the Muslims in front of a camera burning the Danish flag, yes. And so in 2007, there was another incident about the whole thing again. Then in 2011, there was a similar, and then in 2015, the Charlie Hebdo thing, exactly the same theme. Then you had Lars Vilks coming to Kruthen, where it was just a few days after, where they were sort of meeting in this little theater. Where it was a matter of also people from France had come up. There were also key players in the Charlie Hebdo thing. They were there. And then it suddenly happened there. And he was hiding in a freezer. We're going to come back to that. And then it went from there to Texas, where the exact same theme was being used again. It's a theme it's a recycling of a theme, So Lars Vilks, anyway, he died very not long ago in a very bizarre car crash. He had bodyguards 24/7 for, I think, since 2007. That is more bodyguards than the Swedish Prime Minister had. So why? Or is it even true? I don't believe it at all. But it really gives him credibility. Oh my God, this is a guy who's standing up for truth and so on. And really, he's putting his life on the line by making horrible drawings that really offends people, but for the freedom of speech. Anyway, so he was on his way. He was up in Stockholm, where he met a very famous film producer and her wife, who was a TV personality. And then on the way back, there were two bodyguard cars, bulletproof tires, all of it, that were driving down a highway straight forward. And suddenly, for some reason, it said it went across the road through barriers, these wires that should bounce the car, and then went bang on, head on with a truck. Both of them turned on fire, and the two bodyguards, Lars Vilks, died, and truck driver also ended up in a bad state. But when you look at the crime scene, when you look, the photos from where it happened, it's a bend of the street, of the road. But when you look at the actual place we were told that it happened, it's straight. It's straight. It's like nothing of it. I made multiple interviews about that. So please, I'm not saying jumping to conclusion. This whole thing, I doubt it 100%. That to the left is the only thing we've ever seen of the wreckage of the car, which was a Jeep. It was a big Jeep with bulletproof vests, specially built for bodyguards and transport of people of high threat level. What is that? What is it? Has it ever been a car? And to this very day, officially, they haven't been able to find out why this happened. They say, it might have been the car that the tires that exploded. They were built to withstand even bullet fire. It's like absolute. So they come to, we don't know why. We don't know. And now we're supposed to forget it. And anyway, once again, look at these police things here. If you look at what does your subconscious say about that photo, that was one of the headline photos. It says ISIS. Can you see that? Your subconscious will see ISIS.
Yes, and then there's an L turned upside down though.
Yeah, but it's from the word police, the Swedish police.
Yeah.
But this is how this is how, and I found the exact location where that photo is taken. It's not even where the accident happened. So this is a stage. This plastic thing that goes out across the road. No. Anyway, and just before he died, the day before he died, this is such bizarre things. This is the last movie of Lars Vilks. When he went to Stockholm with 2 bodyguards and so on, he decided to go to this art exhibition. And at the art exhibition, he took part of an art piece of a car with a police car that turns over, exactly how he died.
Really?
This is like the day before. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's just strange to say the least. They're pumping us out there. Lars Vilks, I tell you, he has just been relocated to somewhere else, just a nose job and or whatever. And it's just being, he's what they call used to be's. So he's been relocated, lives near a golf course somewhere if he likes golf in the US, one of these gated communities like that.
Or maybe he's on Epstein Island, the new one.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they're buddies. I don't know. But here, so I tell you, what is up with the freezers and these subliminal? What are they doing? Like here we have Boris Johnson, who is key in many of these operations. He's one of the I don't know his real role, but often he's right in the center, and he's starting some of these operations also on media. Through color codes, especially. His dad was MI6, by the way. There you can see a documentary about Boris, and there they stayed very openly. Anyway, so he very recently was hiding in a freezer just a few days ago to avoid questions from a journalist. And so this has become a big deal. And now he's saying, no, I want to retire. I'm off here. So this whole thing.
So let me just pause here for a second. So Boris Johnson was hiding in a freezer.
That is what they say. That is what they say. But who else was hiding in a freezer? Lars Vilks was hiding in a freezer during the shooting at Kruttunnan. And also in the Barcelona terror attack, people were hiding in a freezer. And also at the Buffalo recent shooting, people were hiding in coolers. And also right now, yesterday, there was a big thing in the US where a woman is said to have hidden the body of her dead mother in a freezer to get her pension. There's something, I don't know about these freezers, if they're part of this macabre, because what I think about is like coroner thing, you know, bodies in a freezer, but it's a recycling of some sort, and it's coming up now with Boris big time.
Must have been a very cold experience, huh?
Well, there you go. So then a few months ago, there was an attack in Tel Aviv. What is right in the center of the images? A shoe. We're back to the shoes again. Can you see the shoe here? Boom, boom.
I can see the shoes, yes.
Yeah, and so that was followed by a big article also where they were talking about the war between these two, Palestine and Israel, and how to do it. And the photo that illustrated the article that was next to it, if you see here, what are we seeing? We're seeing shoes again. These, please see it as subliminal triggers and understand. Now we're talking Israel here. We're talking different countries that are connected to NATO. Oh no, Israel is not part of NATO. No, but they have an office in NATO's headquarters. It's that close, you know. And when you look at terror attacks, I would suggest that it was the Israelis that invented it in the 60s. They came up with these different methods. They are the masters of these operations. And when you look at Mossad, it's like their motto is war by deception. War by deception. Taste that a little bit and you will see, like, what? Deception meaning you are not supposed to get it. Okay, so here we have the shoe trigger. And here was in a recent shooting in the US. Can you see the color? Magenta, pinkish magenta, and a shoe. What has that got to do with any kind of shooting? But it goes emotional. Oh, it's a baby. It must have been a little baby girl. Okay. Here we have exactly the same from the Ukraine. Russian troops accused of war crimes, blah, 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 blah. And here you have the same type of thing. And now I would suggest there's a transition that has been going on since 2018, where they're trying desperately to go away from the shoes that doesn't really work anymore towards more other items. And they started in 2018 with bicycles, where there's a transition period with bicycles. So from shoes to bikes. And the one that really started that was the alleged, do you remember the drama with the Thai boys in the cave in Thailand?
No.
Though there were some boys that disappeared in a cave in Thailand, and it became a global phenomena, and the whole world was following this drama, and they kept saying, oh my God, it's just like a movie. Somebody should make a movie about this. Oh, it's like them following a script. Oh, it's like, this is what they're doing nowadays. I kid you not. Because the thing is, Hollywood is running out of ideas. They've recycled they remade so many versions of the same movies. They can't do it. But one of the most popular genres are based on a true story. So what they're doing now, I tell you, if I'm correct, this is what they do. They are staging crap as real, but also to make a double banger with making a movie on top of it, of the event that was staged from day one. So you have, for instance, Clint Eastwood, that I really used to love. I mean, $1 Million Baby, one of my favorite movies. But he made a movie called the 913 Train to Paris, something like that. Train 913 to Paris. That was an absolute low-budget crap operation in Paris, where they had some US Marines and a Muslim terrorist. That the Muslim terrorist was on this train and he went into the bathroom trying to load his Kalashnikov. The US Marine walked outside the bathroom and recognized the sound from Afghanistan. It's an AK-47. So he waited, and then when the terrorist came out, he jumped him, and there was a whole and they became heroes, and it was fantastic, and it was absolutely based on no truth whatsoever. They have made a movie where they're using the crisis actors as playing themselves. Wake me up. Wake me up. And,
oh, wow.
I mean, what
so they were
hell?
even in the film. So
They are playing themselves, but they were actors in, oh God, it's sometimes like, it's like, I don't get it. Anyway, so we had here in Thailand.
well, actually, you
is,
do get it. You really do get it, obviously.
yeah, but I don't understand why they do these things sometimes. Anyway, so here in Thailand, they really started pumping the combo of the shoe and bicycles, like images like this, where you have the Nike. I mean, look at that logo. That is pretty dominant there. The shoe, and in the background, the bicycle. So the transfer started. But before that, because they need headliners. This is the thing. At the moment, they need headliners because they need attraction. They need to move it fast. So they used George Bush Sr., which is a bad boy, or was bad boy, bad boy, bad boy, and bad boy. If you want to see people that are real monsters, George Bush Sr., not Boy George, his son, that he's an alcoholic and a joke, but Senior, oh my God, that was a real player there. Anyway,
yeah, he was definitely top level of everything. He took the prize, didn't he?
Anyway, so in 2018, they started this shift. And so his cardiologist, his heart doctor, is said to have been killed in a drive-by shooting. Okay, so the doctor was on a bicycle and the shooter was on a bicycle. So it's a drive-by bicycle shooting. Really? Really? Yeah, in Houston. And the doctors, you know, the way they play with names, they often have incredible names that is very often connected to sex for some reason. But anyway, this was not, but his name was...
What was his name?
No, this was not sex. This was just his name was Dr. Hausknecht, but it was like it's pronounced Dr. Hausknecht, Dr. Hausknecht. But you have all kinds of bizarre, like Annie Dick on Ass was one of the victims in Melbourne, I think.
Really?
You had Bend Over, Huge Dick in Sun. You had Waynell Sexton. I mean, she was the teacher of George Floyd that died. I can't breathe. Breathe. She was the. But anyway, so
but
here
George
we have the news
Floyd
about,
actually he had done porn. He was a porn actor. You'd seen him in porn films. And
that whole thing was a massive operation as well. Massive. Mm-hmm. Not true at all. But here you have when they reported the news, see the color of the newsreader. Can you see the magenta? So this is how they do it. Boom, boom, boom. So suddenly it was George Bush, his cardiologist, suddenly headlines, was shot on a bicycle, by a car on a bicycle, by a man on a bicycle, you know, bicycle. And what was the photos from the crime scene of the bicycle? So that's how they started to doing it. So now recently, let's move forward a little bit. We had a mass shooting in Buffalo, in New York, the state of New York. And the shooter, here you have Nike on his T-shirt. You will see it was a copycat of the Christchurch shooting, more or less identical, where he had sort of like it was like being inside a video game. And inside the supermarket that was more or less empty. You will see that again in fields and other places, absolutely empty except for the crisis actors that are there as taking part of it. There were shoes spread out also on the floor. And even on Google Map, I tell you that Google is in on this as well, because they are using it as product placement, because they know that millions of people would go to Google Maps and check out the sites when something happened. So very often when there's in Nashville, when there was this guy that they said he was in an RV and blew himself up there in a yellow RV, exactly on the location where he blew himself up is a big Coca-Cola truck. Well, was that just there? Maybe it was just passing. No, you can see the orange cones around it. It was placed there. And then we take the photo and click, boom, on Google Maps. And here, at the
Can
top.
I just ask you, Ola, I don't know what your opinion is on this. You know, that Nike sign there that looks a little bit like a boomerang. Could it be Saturn symbolism, like the rings of Saturn that we see all over, basically?
You tell me, but as far as I know, it is connected to Saturn, that logo as well. But here, if you go down on Google Map, on exactly that supermarket where this alleged shooting happened, you can still do it. And right in front, right in the center of the entrance to the supermarket, what is lying there? A shoe. So it's product placement, but the shoes are also there. So it's like, doom, doom, the shoes, the shoes, the shoes. So anyway, we had another shooting in Uvalde. They said it's the third worst mass shooting in the history of the US. Well, okay, fine. You look
Maybe
at it,
people just don't tie their shoes very, very good, huh?
So this was the third worst mass shooting in the history of the US, they say. It's a copycat of the Sandy Hook alleged shooting, where even there were recycling. I'm going to show same people coming back. But also here we had where they need headliners. So they brought in Matthew McConaughey, which is an actor I really liked up until now. And he's standing there talking about this girl that was shot at it. And he cannot help but laughing. It's called duping delight as well. He holds up this photo of this girl. She was a teenager, but at the photo, she's a tiny little girl. Look at the color. She's dressed in magenta or purple. And he's saying that his wife is sitting there with the shoes that she was wearing when she was shot. He says the only way they could identify the girl was from the shoes. Does that mean she was shot? They say she was shot. So there was nothing left for them to identify except from the shoes. And then his wife is walking around with them on, there's no blood stain on them. They're nothing, but they're green. And the green color, I think, is once again a color code signal. Just before the Ukraine war started, Boris Johnson went there. And for the first time ever, he had a green tie on at the press conference. I think that color, I don't know what it stands for in this case, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the green color is there. But yeah, and Uvalde, I'm in touch with people in Uvalde. They say it's a tiny little town of 20,000, and now incredible funds are being funneled into this community. The school where it's said to have happened wasn't even open, just like in Sandy Hook. The Sandy Hook school had been closed for years. I want to say, if you want to look into these things, please go to my website, lightonconspiracies.com or dammegard.com. Go to the shop. You can download for free. As far as I know, the first book ever banned on Amazon. I was part of making it together with Professor Jim Fetzer and 8 other top-level researchers. It's called Nobody Died in Sandy Hook. And it's like 300-400 pages where it's just step by step by step, go through the whole thing. And you can see that it was a FEMA drill. Nothing else happened, but a massive agenda to get the guns away. So here in Uvalde, there were 2 teachers that was killed. And when they show the pictures of the teacher, this is not me putting together 2 photos. They say, this is the teacher. Why would they show a photo of her in her 40s and when she was like 15, 18 years old? Why would they put that next to each other? Have you ever seen that? Anyone do that? But they say, here's the dead teacher. Beautiful woman, beautiful eyes. Here, if you take the younger photo and you compare it to Vicky Soto, which was one of the alleged victims at Sandy Hook, I think that is pretty close. And then there was the witness that was being interviewed everywhere was this little girl, totally without emotions, that was sitting talking. Yes, and I was lying next to the dead bodies, and then I took some blood and I smeared myself in the blood so that the shooter would think that I was dead. Do you know where?
Look at the butterfly monarch symbolism there, huh? MK Ultra.
And there you go. You see it. I see it. but many people who are not aware of the Monarch symbol, for me, it's like MK Ultra big time.
I mean, it's big time. It's totally revealed. It's almost incredible, isn't it? Project Monarch, which is a butterfly. That's what they use for mind control slaves. Yeah.
And here is one of the images spread from the mass shooting in Uvalde. Do you see anything similar to a shoe?
Another pair of shoes, huh?
Yeah. And then Teacher of the Year, the other teacher, her name was Irma Garcia. And sometimes, I don't know, maybe it's a coincidence. I see CIA there anyway. But anyway, this woman who died there, her husband died as well, just 2 days after the shooting because his heart couldn't take it anymore. So he died of a broken heart. That was what they said in the report. He died from a broken heart. But just a few days before the shooting, he was the guy that led a drill, an active shooter drill in that exact school. Have we ever seen the drills before, these operations? Yes, all the time.
All the time, yes.
And then after the Uvalde shooting, there was a double, listen to all of these crimes we're being told on mass murder, gang rapes and double murders, homicides, drive-by shootings. When you look at the news or you open a newspaper, there are all of these things saying life is horrible. Life is dangerous. This, oh my God, no. I've had people in Sweden, England, and the US where we've taken one newspaper and just said, okay, let's take this date and we'll just go through and we'll check everyone. Did these things happen? And every single one in these different 3 countries have come up with the same, that about 80% of it is absolutely bullshit. It's just taken out of thin air. Somebody is writing it and then enter, boom, publish. And we are too busy with our lives and with so much going on and so many different things. So we're just sitting there, oh my God, another rape. Oh my God, another shooting. Oh my God, another. I would say life is beautiful. It's beautiful. You look out the window, it's wonderful. But through these screens and media, we're being told, no, you live in hell. You need protection. I said, yeah, we need protection from you. That's what we need.
But of course, one question that I must ask, because that's what a lot of people say, not just within the field of truth research, but certainly people outside who believe the whole mainstream and political narrative, they would certainly ask you if you think that all of those things are staged, that everything that is happening is staged and could not be real. Don't you think that some of them are real and some of these incidents can be real?
Of course, Lucas, it is super important not to jump to conclusions. Absolutely, absolutely. I'm just saying, question everything. Question everything. It's like when my sweetheart Kim comes and says, oh my God, this just happened. I said, that's really horrible if it's actually true. Let me check it out. And just searching on Google is not checking things out, because Google is owned and controlled by the same forces. So they will direct you in areas where they want you to find the truth. That's why I always try to go on location, because and find out what the hell happened. Is it true? Is it not? I'm not here to prove a point. I'm here to find out what happened. But what I have found over and over and over and over again is that we are not being told the truth, and we're being led astray towards distraction or towards believing that life is horrible and dangerous and violent. It is not. It's like being on a schoolyard with one bully that is hiding and doing all kinds of manipulative things to mess up our lives and to control us without us understanding it. So anyway, we go from that, and then right after that, we had a double murder investigation in something called Oxnard, USA. And so they say that they found 2 people shot dead on a bench on a train station. The image from the homicide is a bicycle with a lot of evidence things around it. What has that to do with a train station on a park bench? And there are no names, it's like, what are we looking at? I would say possibly yet another one that they just pump it in, bicycle, death. I mean, nobody would stage that. What are all of these yellow things even pointing out? What kind of evidence? There's nothing there. And then the first never elected president ever. Oh, I mean, there's been fake election before, but this one is for sure. Joe Biden, what does he do? He falls off his bicycle. Once again, headlines, caricatures, jokes made everywhere, you know, on game shows and talk shows and whatever. Joe Biden can't even ride a bicycle. It's dangerous. He falls over. Bicycle. That's how they do it. I don't believe that. And what does it matter if Joe Biden fell over? Is it headlines all over the world? Is it?
I'm looking forward to later when you get to Fields in Copenhagen with the Tour de France here. Thousands of bikes on that day. There you go. I think you're going to mention that.
I might not. So here we have let's shoot. Now we come to the Highland Park shooting, which was on the 4th of July. Once again, these dates are very important for them. And now they claim that this is the shooter. Okay, fine. And here we have other images of him. Look at that one. He's standing, if you look from a psychological operation point of view, he's standing with something that looks like the American flag around him. It's not, but it's the same colors. He's putting up his foot with his shoe on a chair while laughing also. Like, what is that shoe? We had George Floyd do the exact same thing, where the focus for your subconscious is the shoe. It notices the shoe. You will see in the background also on the images upcoming now, there will be a lot of American flags, a lot of with the same colors and so on. Like here, for instance, look at that. This is after the so-called Highland Park shooting. She said, oh, it's so horrible. What are you actually looking at? You're looking at the American flag balloon, and then you're looking at a sort of like a, what do you call it? A stomach bag. I don't know what to call it. But with gay colors. Can you see the gay pride color code? It's got all of the different colors. And then Miami, where was the Pulse shooting? It was in Miami, Florida. No, it was not. But it was in Florida. It was in Miami, sorry. But because we have the pride theme coming up here now, where the attacks are against the pride. They also say that, oh, look at this guy who did this whole thing. He's just like the Aurora shooter. It's like there's a whole gallery of people looking absolutely bizarre that they claim are these shooters.
Oh my God, that's a really scary picture with that guy. My God, you don't want to see that for too long, do you? My God, with the black eyes, must be contact lenses.
Yeah, but this is not even a real face, if you ask me. And the whole thing, if you look at the body armor, look at to the right part, look at the cut between the head and the body armor. This is not a photo of him. This is photoshopped. You know, the sharpness is not the same. And the guy to the left, that I don't even think that it's a real face. I mean, these eyes, and then the size of the gun, and both the face and the gun is sharp. What kind of lens is that? So close, and it's sharp and sharp. The whole thing is just photoshopped together to scare. I have a whole gallery of people looking absolutely bizarre that is claimed to be shooters, because now also they're going towards the mental illness theme. This is the thing where Fields comes in and so on. At the moment, there are two main themes. One of them is, they would say after the shootings, they would say, it's a bit of a bummer. We've had him on our radar for some time. We knew that he might have been up to something. He's been radicalized because, I mean, he has eaten Muslim cornflakes or whatever. So we had suspicion that he had been radicalized, but we couldn't do anything. And look now, there's a whole pile of dead bodies over there. If we had had more free access to arresting him on suspicion only, that pile of dead bodies over there wouldn't have been there. Do you see, it's the Minority Report. They're doing it every time when there's a shooting. At the press conference, they will say, we've known about him for a while, but unfortunately, we couldn't do anything. I mean, it's a democracy. We have to follow the law because we are law-abiding police officers. Absolute bullshit. They're saying, free us so that we can arrest people like you, Lucas, because you say things that we don't like. And this Dammegard, we shouldn't even go there. Do you know, by the way, they hijacked my name? If you go to OLE Dammegard, I mean, I'm the only one with this weird name on this planet as far as I know. OLEDammegard.com. It's an American law firm in El Paso that is taken over. It's bizarre. Look it up.
Oh.
Yeah, look it up.
Why
it's
would
really
they
weird.
want to purchase a website name for you?
I don't know. I really don't know. But it's not only the domain that is pointed that way. They got the banner, my name, with a sort of like a legal system or legal symbol. It's just strange. Anyway, so let's get back to this. So we have these numbers also coming up here, and now there's 22. Many of these shooters are 22, and there's 3 victims. 322 is also the number of skull and bones. It's also the 22nd of March when many of these events have happened. Then we got 14, we got 666, we got 9/11, 7/11, 7/7. These are repeated. For some reason, 14, I'm not sure why, but 14 is also repeated here. So we got like Podesta from Pizzagate, that whole bizarre thing, where he's got the number 14 like that. You got the Buffalo, New York alleged mass shooting, 14 painted on the gun, just like in Christchurch, that was also painted with the number 14. And now like this big truck with a very dominant number 14 as well. I'm not sure what this 14 stands for. If anyone knows, please tell me. info@lightonconspiracies.com. Please help me. But now they're going from shoes, because they can't use the shoes so much anymore because it's just becoming too obvious. So now they're adding bicycles, and now they're adding the baby carts and chairs that are just foldable chairs that are just lying there. I ask you, we're now looking at a terror attack. What are the chances that there would be baby carts or foldable chairs or bicycles? What would be, because especially if you're a professional photographer, you would avoid these things because they're in the way. You would focus on the important thing in the image. But here, a foldable chair in the middle of the street. Oh my God, a terror attack. No, it's a foldable chair in the middle of the street. Here, look at the color of the bicycle also. Purple and magenta, bicycle. What has this to do with anything of a terror attack? Why? Bicycle, carts, baby carts, but also things with wheels. Here you have the American flag once again, and something that is connected to a child on wheels, and then the American flag in the background with a police car. If you look at that, it's a stage photo, or there's a lot of symbolism. Here, a crying police officer. Oh, it's so horrible. It was so horrible. And what's there? A card or something. Here, police officer, bicycle, and a police in the middle standing, looking. What are we going to do? We have to ban these weapons. And so also here, the blood of a victim. But what is it actually showing? A Nike shoe, a chair that is folded over. And then I think it's a diaper. I'm not sure, but that would also give a baby. Oh my God, it could be baby blood. No, it's a diaper and some ketchup. But you see the number of shoes. I'm going to come back to shoes again.
It's really remarkable, huh?
Here you have a police officer who takes up the American flag that has fallen to the ground. One of the most famous photos ever of the soldiers, I think it's in Okinawa or the Jiwa, whatever the name of the island was, where they're raising up the American flag like that. It's an arranged photo. It's not a real, they reenacted it for that photo. But anyway, I would say here's a possible going back to, the US has been attacked. And then you got Wild Bill Kid, Wild Bill Hickok or whatever, with police on the back that looks like the quick draw. Don't you mess with the US. American flag in the background, folded chairs. Here, I mean, this is a crap photo, the one down there. You got the police that should be the focus of the image in the background. But what are you actually looking? Your subconscious is taking in, oh, baby cots. And then the sign in the background, stop it. You naughty, horrible shooter. You should not do this. Oh, and here we have that. This has really got to do with a terror attack, don't you think? American flag in the basket there are colors. It's I think it's a scarf with the colors of the American flag and foldable chairs in the background. That is really showing you that something horrible has happened. And then on the other side of the street, can you see blue and yellow? The Ukraine, they have the colors of the Ukraine at the moment, because that is part of their operation also.
Yeah, we have the Ukrainian flag all over Copenhagen, in Denmark, and in other cities as well. Even at the National Bank and the National Museum, and that Ukrainian flag, which looks like the Swedish colors, actually, are all over.
And because it's both against the Ukraine and Sweden at the moment, they're really trying to push Sweden into NATO. Sweden is under heavy attack right now, and they don't really understand it. So then we had a mass shooting in Oslo. My God, NATO once again. And it's said to be an attack at the gay pride parade. Okay, so in the middle of the night, a guy said to run around with an automatic weapon, shooting and killing people like that. The only thing there is to see of any type of destruction, or anything like that, is that broken glass thing. As far as I know, I have not been able to find anything else. So this could be a terror attack made by one hammer in two goes, like boom, boom, and let's put some police thing, cordon off thing. Then there's been one photo, maybe I'm sort of late. I mean, maybe there are things, but just like you said before, it's super, super difficult to find any photos of anything. It's just not there. Here, I thought it was from inside the club. They said, here's one of the victims. When you look at it, the people in there are not typical gay parade. They're more looking like men in the mid-30s or so. And Kotun is down below. This is from the gay club up there. I just put these two together because I thought they were pretty similar. And then down in Kotun, you had one guy walking around looking like that looks like a security type of guy, military, police, security type of thing. He's also with a phone, nothing about that, but he was one of the victims, they said. So, but what is happening here? He has his one trouser leg rolled up, exactly like a Freemasonic symbolism or rituals. And also it's the same with the guy on the floor, one trouser leg up, just like that. So here we have the arrest of the shooter. But what do you see? And please see that photo, and I'm going to show you other photos when they arrest the attacker. Blurry. How do they make them blurry? It's incredible with the cameras nowadays that are HD quality or 4K, I don't know what. How can they manage to get things that blurry? But here they are. So what do you actually see of this arrest? You see a lot of bodies, but the shoes are the main focus. The shoe. And here in Oslo, they did not put the shoe out there. I looked everywhere. But here we have this bizarre image of it's like a reflection of a mirrored window thing like that. You see an ambulance, there's a bullet hole. That must be real. And then down to the left, you got the shoe in the middle of the street. But that photo, I don't even know what it is or how they've taken it, or if it's just Photoshop, all of it. And then we have a photo, this is being published everywhere, of a beheaded police officer. Where do your eyes go? They go to the weapon, the uniform, the cordon off. Oh my God, it must be a crime scene, and the boots. Do you see how they do it? That photo, that beheaded photo, should not be published at all. And so what are the chances, I tell you, about bicycles, that they should be there? Are we in Amsterdam where there are like 40 million bicycles everywhere? What is in the center of the image? What is in the foreground? bicycles, bicycles, bicycle, bicycle, and then drama in the background. And then you have a bag. They love the bag as well. A left bag in a street. Yeah, it's because the Boston bombing, or because they brought the bomb in a bag, and then they left the bag and then exploded. Don't leave your bags unattended in the airport. It might be a bomb. It's there. Oh, something bad must have gone on. And then look at this. So the theme is gay parade, or an attack against human rights as a gay person. So if you want to combine the two, you have two people, both genders. So that would then, and then you get the gay flag. And in the background, round in the middle of the background, is a bicycle. But you also got a cordon off area. So in that image,
but wasn't that originally the peace flag, Pace in Italy? You see those flags still in Italy with all the rainbow colors. That used to be the peace flag, but maybe they put more colors in now. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not involved really there. But what I did also, here is some of the first images, the first few images that came out in the middle of the night. Because of the time difference here, I was awake because it's morning here in the middle of the night. So these images were some of the first ones that was spread out there. And if you look at it, you got the gay flag, and then Torn Hotel. That looks almost like a commercial. Torn Hotel. So you got the drama, and in the background, you're self-conscious, product placement, Torn Hotel, Torn Hotel, Torn Hotel. And I was like, Torn Hotel? I recognize Torn Hotel because at the Brussels metro attack, which was at the 22nd of March 2016, 322, we had the Brussels airport attack, where the clue was left at the Bataclan alleged massacre there. They painted in blood around the bodies the logo of the Brussels airport. Okay, so at the Brussels airport, there was also an attack against the metro in downtown Brussels, near the NATO headquarters, where it's a crap operation once again. A smoke bomb, a lot of crisis actors lying on the pavement forever and ever and ever, so that a lot of people could take photos of them. They're walking up and down, doing absolutely nothing. I've been there on locations as so many other places. So I noticed when I was there that the Torn Hotel is inside the red circle. It's just a stone throw away. I was like, that's interesting, because when the crisis actors were running around there, several of them had the yellow vests with torn printed on the back.
What does that mean? What does that mean, torn?
Torn is the name. Torn is the name. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. That's the name of Olav Torn, who is one of the richest people in Norway, who owns so many supermarkets, so many hotels, so many of these different things, and who is also the owner of Torn Hotel, where the attack happened in Oslo. So when I saw this background, I thought, whoa.
But the Rosenkrantz, that's the Scandinavian way of saying Rosicrucian.
Yeah, I don't know why that name is there.
The Rosicrucian order,
Yeah.
Which ties in with the bloodline families and the secret societies.
If it's that connection, yes. But it could be the owner of some. But the gay club, where you have no photos from, which is called the London Bar, which is interesting because that could also be like a clue towards the London Bar. Around the corner is the Bristol Hotel, which is also owned by Olav Torn. So I think there's a good possibility that the London Bar is renting from Olav Torn, meaning also that would be under the control of the property owners. So that, because this is what you need control of the properties, you need control of the outlet, you need control of the police or people in uniform just because
And
they're
did they
running around
reveal the identity of the supposed dead man that was shot there at the gay club?
There were 2 people killed, they say. I have not found the identity yet. I have found one where it said he said on Facebook that he was sitting at somewhere, and then by mistake he was shot in the forehead. He got one bullet right in the head, but thank God they managed to operate and get it out, and also the splinter from his skull, get it out. And then he was on paracetamol or something like that. And he said it's fantastic to be able to cure things like that with that medic. I mean, what? I mean, the last time I was shot in the head, I did not feel well for a long time.
You were shot in the head? Excuse me?
I'm just kidding. But okay. I mean, but it's like when you see these shootings, for instance, the Pulse shooting in Florida, which was also a gay club. It was the biggest. They said there was like 50 victims. And the whole, I mean, once again, really not good. And one guy was shot 5 times, and then he held a press conference and just more or less walked out on his own. These people recover. Las Vegas shooting, shot in the head, not a problem at all. I'll just drive home myself. And so, yeah. Anyway, so here we have drama in the center of Oslo. Because why is it dramatic? Because there's a lot of ambulances and blue lights. That's it. Then you see people in SWAT team uniforms. They come very fast when things like this happen, more or less always within minutes. And normally when you talk to people that are SWAT team or Innsatsstyrkan or something like that, they have other jobs, so that when something happens, they have to go in, leave their normal job as a bodyguard or security or whatever they are working as, then drive very fast into the headquarters where they have to sign and get out the equipment and the weapons and everything, and then go on location. So that can take like 40 minutes, an hour. But here we have these people, they're there when it happens, boom, and there they are. How come? Because they're the ones doing it. That's my suggestion. So here we have very dramatic. A stretcher is being rolled out and it's blurred, so we can't see if there's anything on it. So that must be very dramatic, and that is a victim. No, it's a blurred photo that could have a victim on the stretcher or not. And that's in the middle of the night when the shooting occurred. We still have people with stretchers in the middle of the day. I mean, how many victims were there? And some bicycles. And then really bizarre photos like this one. If you look at a photo like that, in my opinion, is a a big possibility that this could be an arranged photo. You got the flowers, the flags in the foreground here, and then the sadness. Look at these people. Then behind, because these are people that are mourning for gay people, possibly gay, so they are the victims of this attack, even though everyone that was into you was in their mid-40s or 50s, looking quite military, all of them short cut hair, like these are, and none of them had seen the shooter. They were just being told about it. These are the people who I would suggest could very well be part of arranging it. Former security people. This is the Gladio network that shows up. But here, they need your subconscious to feel for them, go emotional. Oh, this is so sad. Look at this photo. But look behind in the green circle. I made a green circle. That guy has almost like a halo. Can you see that? The stop sign. It almost appears your subconscious. Once again, your subconscious. And then the guy in the middle, it almost looks like he's got a what do you call it? A thorn crown, like Jesus, like the ultimate victim in the middle there. And then you got the pink, the magenta almost color that is also there. Maybe I'm seeing too much, putting too much into it. I don't know. But look at this one here. Oh my God. It's a gay parade. I mean, normally people going to these kind of clubs are, as far as I know, early 18 to like 35, 40, something like that. Look at this guy. He's like in a skirt. He's got like heavy tattoos, like possibly a former military guy, halfway bald. He's got some kind of weird mask with leather straps on it. And it's very, very strange. This, in my opinion, looks a lot more like a military guy than somebody who has been at a gay club. Or it's like a
But it doesn't even look like that man's head on that big body. It almost looks like two different people or somebody standing behind him or something. You know, it doesn't look like that person.
I'm just saying, I find this photo strange. And once again, we got this very strong color that is almost magenta. Again, so these type of photos, I want to question. And then we have this photo also. We got Hotel Bristol in the background, the same owner, Olaf Thorn, in the background. This is not where once again, why is that photo, why is the name in there? The photographer has no reason to take a photo like that. But look also, we got this mobile scooter, because these are also that have started coming up, people in mobile scooters at terror attacks. I think they go emotional also with kittens and now with elderly people to involve more. So but
now that you're connecting all of those dots, also with the photographs there, do you also suspect that those photographers that come there, that they're also hired by the same false flag operation team, or do we know the photographers? Are they well known within the press or the media?
I would say big yes. They are very, very aware of what they're doing. Look at this photo, for instance. Look at that strange arm that is coming, almost pushing the wheelchair, that has sort of a weird flag on the back as well, so that you really notice it. What is that? These are we're talking about psychological operations where the photographers, the media outlet is key. That is the only reason they do these things, are for the media outlet. They don't care about people in Oslo, down the street, what they have seen or whatever. It's not about that. It's to pump out in the world. You are under attack. You need protection, and we will protect you by taking over and make a one world order out of it. So these photos are 100% yes part of it. That arm, why, I tell you, if he had taken a normal photographer, he would take maybe 8 or 10 photos in that direction if it was something that he was interested in, or she. Tick, 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 tick. So you have variations. That arm would be out of the picture right away. Why would that arm? It's not professional at all if it's not part of the operation. And then there's always, when they do carry these things out, they need somewhere to prepare. They need somewhere where we cannot see what they're up to, and so on. So what I've found over the years is there are 3 different variations. They're either theaters or parking garages or hotels, or what else is it? Libraries, public libraries. That is where they prepare, because they can prepare on the inside. Sorry, the library is closed today, under repair, because they need access to cafeteria, bathrooms, electricity, big spaces, makeup facilities. That's why they love theaters. And what is Kutchen? It's a theater. It's got all of it inside it. Every single time when these things happen, look right there. There it is. Like when the van attack in Barcelona happened, big on Las Ramblas, 15 minutes, the biggest theater in Barcelona. Boom. And you had when the blowing up of the government building, right behind the government building, the public library. That's where they prepared. When you in Copenhagen, when the synagogue, right opposite the synagogue, what's that? The public library. That's where they did it. That's where they prepared. And then when everything is prepared, when everybody has been made up with blood and guts and whatever, then the only thing you need, you cut off the end of the streets, because these are often small, narrow streets like in Copenhagen. It's so easy to just close it off. Or if you can't do it, just throw out a little smoke bomb. And then in the smoke, you just everybody out and lie down on the street, look dead, and put on some more ketchup. You got yourself a terror attack. But they need these spaces. And right here, just a stone throw away from where this is said to have happened, is Nya Teatern in Oslo. A very possible way for them to prepare. So you got the upper green one is Hotel Thorn. You got Hotel Bristol around the corner. The purple X is where the London bar is. So you got both the London bar and the Bristol Hotel is pointing possibly a clue towards England. And London has been a major focus on these false flag attacks. The Westminster Bridge attack, I predicted it on international radio 2 months before it happened. 2 months before it happened. And London Bridge as well, and so on. So
can I just ask you, Ole, before I forget, do you have any suspicion about what several people have talked about, certainly in regards to gematria and numerology, that something could potentially happen to the Golden Gate Bridge, especially on 8/8, on the 8th of August? That's what they talk about. But, let's see. Well, have you heard anything about Golden Gate?
The Golden Gate Bridge comes and goes in these type of speculations. It's been talked about many times. So I haven't found anything. At the moment, I found things pointing towards London. I found things pointing towards Finland. I would be very surprised if there's not a hit being planned on Finland very soon. It's part of pushing Finland into NATO. That's the whole point. So, but let's get back to Oslo. So here, right away, before people even knew, we still don't know the names of these people that is said to have been killed. I don't know, at least. Then suddenly there was this big thing, like a memorial for these people with the gay colors and everything. Like you had royalties, you had the prime minister there. Once again, this prime minister who was very closely to the other attacks, and she was also the princess, the Norwegian princess. It was her stepbrother that was the first victim on Utøya, they claim. So these people very closely connected to a very similar event as well. Here we have photos. Once again, if you look at this from a psychological point of view, you got like two people colored with the pride colors, like that are hugging the prime minister. Oh, he must be a good guy because he really cares. Look at that warm embrace. Then you got the prince, whatever his name is, of Norway. He is one of the young global leaders, as far as I know, that is connected to the World Economic Forum. I also believe that, and the royal family connected to the Bilderberg Group and also the Committee of 300. And then you have the color of the hair of the woman who are embracing the princess. The color is magenta. Can you see? So you got the gay colors, you got the prime minister, you got the royalties. The young guy in the middle, I'm sure that he's some kind of I wouldn't be surprised if he was not also a member of the royal family. How often do they walk down the street like that, hugging people? I mean, normally like that. But here, the photographer is in the perfect location.
It's probably the crown prince, the son of the crown prince, who's also crown prince, right? Because that was also who was present in Denmark after the field shooting. Crown Prince Frederik of Denmark and his oldest son was there along with the prime minister and the Queen of Denmark.
So see the same theme being repeated. What is going on here? What is going on here? And just see this image just shows you, oh my God, they so care about us. And so we come to Fields, and this is why I couldn't answer your question right away. So we have Fields, okay? Fields is not a Danish name at all. So that is also English pointing possibly towards England, Fields. And I checked out London Fields, Bristol Fields, this, and there's actually a movie called London Fields about a woman that knows that she's going to be murdered, but she doesn't know who's going to murder her. I have no idea, but I'm just saying there is a
Strawberry Fields Forever. I think that Beatles song was even part of the supposed Paul McCartney conspiracy, huh?
That I don't want to go that far. Paul McCartney, that is for sure one of them, but I don't know about Strawberry Fields. But anyway, so we got to Fields here, and here we said that a young guy is running around, mentally not stable, and shooting at people inside a supermarket. So when did it happen? It had a midday. So normally there would be quite a lot of people there, I would say. We see him here running around. And also this photo, if you look right on top of his head, it's almost like he's got a halo there as well. It's, but anyway, he's walking around there shooting. But when you see inside, as far as I've been able to see, it's absolutely abandoned. I can't see people anywhere, just 2, 3. Also, when he was arrested, the parking lot more or less empty, and he's being arrested behind this thing where the street is empty. And so it's only him, the alleged shooter, and security people that are arresting him. The whole area is abandoned.
Yeah, and one of our viewers were actually asking how did the shooter get out of the building without being stopped or being seen and get out to a place in solitude, basically nearby, and even make a mobile call.
But also he's running, I mean, he's been filmed by a guy. They always have guys with Muslim background to witness these things. I don't know why that is. I think it could be to add to the effect, because when you cannot have a Muslim shooter because it's too obvious or too worn out, what you do is you use one of your own, like a Danish citizen, but then you add to it by the witness being like Abdul Karim, you know, so you, once again, it's subliminal. It's like, yeah, there was shots fired, and yes, he was dark with a hair. No, wait a second. The shooter was, when I got it wrong, the shooter, I think, was Danish, but the witness was, you know, so your subconscious doesn't, it just goes straight in. So Fields, how do you control? You need to control a supermarket like that. How can you do it? It's not easy. I mean, all of these shops, all of these things, how can you control it? So who owns it? So I checked out who is the owner of this supermarket. And it's a company called Sten and Strøm. And who have they been dealing with big time in the past? Olaf Thorn. So we have the same, they are very closely knit together, these, and have sold like five big malls for I don't even know how to say that. 3,250 million krona. I don't know what that is. It should be like billions. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And this was in 2014, but to Olaf Thorn. And so here we have a direct connection between these two through Olaf Thorn and the metro in Brussels. And this is a guy who owns a lot.
And this Fields is the biggest shopping mall in all of Scandinavia, they say.
And so I kid you not, what are the photos from Fields?
A shoe.
Have you seen these shoes before? I mean, it's not even the same shoe. They're two different shoes. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So it's like the photographer must have been lying on his stomach or her stomach to be able to take that photo. So what are they showing? They're showing a police woman with a machine gun, the plastic cordon off area. Oh my God, it must be a crime scene, and a shoe. It's actually two shoes. Can you see the two shoes?
There are two shoes there.
Yeah.
Lying in the same position.
Yes. Why? And then
why?
You have the next one, the film where you have perfect lighting on the shoe. It's a different shoe. Why is it also you got Nordisk Film logo up in the corner? It's almost like they really wanted to get that in the photo as well.
But they've said that one of the victims that died were working at Nordisk Film, which is the big film company in Denmark. That's what I've heard. So that's probably the reason. I just looked that up today. Somebody said that.
So when I've looked into so many of these, hundreds of these ones, and there's 3 groups where eyewitnesses are coming from over and over and over and over again. People that have seen it happening. They normally work either in film theater, here you got Nordisk film theater, some kind of media, radio, TV, or they're connected to the government. These 3. I've also started to see that there's sports stars and so on that seem to benefit from taking part of these things. So here we have another. But Nordisk Film, I think it was Nordisk Film that made the bow and arrow movie in cooperation with Norway, the one about in Norway. Here we have something. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to do based on a real story about the shooting in Fields supermarket in Denmark. I mean, but anyway, the guy is running around inside the supermarket being filmed, and he says, it's not real. He says it 8 times. It's not real. It's not real. 8 times.
Oh, I thought it was 3 times. Yeah, he said that. It's not real. Det er ikke ægte, which is the Danish way of saying it. Yeah. Either
it's the bullets are not real or this is not real. But anyway, so they say, and here you have, the fire brigade. Why are you there at all? What are the fire brigade? Was there a fire? Was there a car crash? No, absolutely not. So what are you doing there? These people are there because it's dramatic. It's the uniforms. And what are these stretchers on wheels? Why are they bringing that? It would be an ambulance crew with ambulance equipment that would take care of the witnesses. These are things that if somebody fell down a mountain or something for helicopter transport or a big bill, why are they there?
Maybe they didn't have enough stretchers in the ambulance and they needed the fire brigade that was closer by or something. I don't know.
You tell me. And right in the background, what have we got there? We haven't got a bicycle, but we got a massive big sign that says bicycle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it says that the guy, he was mentally disturbed. He was trying to get help. But he couldn't. And then this happened. Now we have the big pile of dead bodies once again, because what is the problem? So here, if we go by to the Highland Park shooting that just happened just before the Copenhagen shooting, please see possible connections here. Here is a police cordon off area with yellow police. I don't know what this plastic cordon thing is called. Anyway, that is almost a symbol of the yellow ribbon. And the yellow ribbon in certain countries stands for help for suicide victims, suicidal people, or mentally ill victims, So
and they're certainly pushing the agenda on the psychological help and the psychiatric system here, that they want to, probably tighten the grip on how to, force people to get, put them in mental institutions or something like that. I mean, they certainly talk about that every day now in the press, and politicians have talked about it, that if you suspect somebody is really mentally disturbed, then, you really need to take action.
Problem, reaction, solution. Problem, reaction, solution. I have friends who are put away because they believe in conspiracy theories. Mentally ill, put away. They are locked in because of talking about things that we are talking about now. It is this is the agenda. But how can they get us to say, yes, do it, through things like this? And then push through NATO. Okay, so we have Denmark, We have Highland Park, where they say the mentally ill, we need to do something about it. Look at the people who are doing it. They're like purple hair, like they look absolute bizarre. They're mentally ill. We need to do something. And push, also there's this push now to get Sweden and Finland into NATO big time.
But they also say, I mean, some people have come out and said that they were in the Fields shopping mall and they saw several people being involved. I mean, several shooters, not just this Espensen, I think his name was, this 22-year-old man that you see in the video with the very, very short hair and the short trousers and the rifle there. Some people talk about either a red-haired or a blonde guy that looked totally different, perhaps even in a red shirt, that was also shooting, something like that. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No, I have not. I totally doubt the whole scene at all, but I shouldn't do that before really looking into. I think that we're looking at a controlled area where it's like a film set being played out, where absolutely nothing happens, and it's just like he said, it's not real, it's not real, it's not real, don't be afraid, it's not real. Maybe
but many people were screaming and running out of the shopping mall, and some of them have filmed things in there, just little snippets, and then they went outside and and also another thing I just want to mention, like in the guy that was shot, the two guys that were shot in Oslo in the gay bar, they haven't publicized the names of the victims here in Copenhagen after the Fields shooting. So nobody knows who they're actually talking about.
Exactly.
And who they're mourning.
I tell you, because nobody died. And now they're saying that they're on the name protecting list because of the victims' families and so on. It's absolute bullshit. I don't think anything happened at all. You also got 322, 3 victims, and he was 22 years old. It's the same in like the Skull and Bones. Maybe I mentioned that before. But anyway, let's go now to Sweden. So right after this, we had in Sweden they have Almedagsveckan on an island called Gotland, where people can meet up with politicians and meet them face to face. And it's a famous week that has been going on for many years, where it's a big thing for about a week, and people are giving speeches and talks and stuff like that. So a lot of people are going there also. And so right in the middle of this, when this happened, suddenly a woman is being stabbed to death. She was said to have been 64 years old, and she was being stabbed to death by a person who was mentally unstable, who had been begging for help, exactly like the guy in Denmark. Do you see any similarities here? Okay, so, and also the Highland Park with the yellow ribbon, these are it's NATO, I tell you, it's NATO. They're doing it, bam, 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 bam. So here, who was stabbed to death? She was the psychiatrical coordinator for Sweden, for the whole of Sweden. She was the one coordinating psychiatric treatment for the different communities, and really she was the one that got stabbed there. Okay, so we look at the horrible crime scene. What do we see? A shoe. I kid you not, a shoe. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Okay, so the police, I mean, I had a friend who was there and saw this, and she was totally in shock because she thought she saw something real. No, there's a small little open area where they were going to do some speeches, and the one who was going to preparing for a speech was Annie Lööf, who's a Bilderberger, who's been prepared by the world, to be the next leader of Sweden. They really tried to push her. I mean, she is really one of the bad ones. Anyway, now she was so close so she became emotionally involved, so people feel sorry for her. Anyway, so what people saw was there was turmoil. There was a lot of people, there was some screaming, and then the police were there right away and managed to jump this guy. They got him down on the floor, got the knife away, they say, and then they hooded him. They put a hood on him and dragged him off. Nobody could see who it was. Have you ever seen the police, have a bag ready to just put over the head of somebody. For you don't do that. But here, that is exactly what happened. And when you see where it happened, there's like a side street where very easily this could be prepared. There's even a door opening there, a deep one, where things could be prepared, where people see, okay, now they're preparing for the speech. Everybody's looking that way. Ready and action. Boom. It's like this. So just like you say, people were screaming and running. Yes, they are always screaming and running. And there's companies called Crowds on Demand and other companies where you can rent crowds in the hundreds, where you, if you need anti-abortion, blah, 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 or pro-abortion, or pro-Hillary, or anti-Hillary, or pro this, or pro that, you can just, they will even help you write the script, whatever is needed, and then they can send hundreds of people that can stand throwing things or screaming or applauding you if you're a failed pop star, whatever. Crowds.
But wouldn't it be impossible to get all of these people to stay silent and not speak out about their participation in this? I mean, if you involve hundreds of people, then somebody would talk, right? If they're a part of something that is changing the world, an international scandal.
And yes, and what they signed is what is it called? Non-disclosure application, where they will be sued to the moon. I tell you, when it comes to Crisis Act, it's a really good question. The Crowds on Demand, you can go their website. It's one of many where you can rent these people, kind of people. So it's not it's way out in the open. They say that they've been doing hundreds of gigs all over the place. Have you ever seen any one of them? We don't know. We just see things happening, and there have been people stepping forward saying, I was paid to do this. I was paid to stand up in Congress and say these things. I was paid to do these things. Crowds on Demand. It's just one of many. But anyway, I spoke to Chip Tatum, who is a former CIA operative, who was the head hitman for George Bush Sr. He was the commander of an ultra-secret hit team called Pegasus, and was part of at least 14 assassinations. This is not just an amateur. Anyway, so he has also been involved in force flag operations. So I asked him, how do they manage to keep people quiet? Crisis actors, these type of things. He said, it's very simple. And I said, please tell me. Oh, he said, it's very simple. It's called management by fear. And he said, so one of the things, they have to sign all of these papers so that if they, that keeps them absolutely legally bound to be quiet. If they don't, they can get sued from here to the moon. That's one. They get paid really well. Many of them are not super intelligent and they want to be seen on TV and stuff. They get a kick out of it. And he said, but otherwise than that, if you keep it to a small little group, that is why we see the recycling of crisis actors that appear again and again, dead, and then they're not dead, and then they're and a coroner, then they're a doctor, then they're a police chief. It's the same. You keep the group small. But he says, if there is a problem, they just gather the group together and they say, okay, listen, guys, we feel that there's some tendency to mutiny here. And so before you decide to do anything or contact the press or whatever, here is your Mr. blah, 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 grandmother. And they just bring in a relative with a cut the throat in front of the group. Or they take somebody's dog, blow the head of the dog, something really violent in front of the group. He said that keeps them under control.
Wow, yeah. And that's one thing. Yeah, management by fear. And we've seen, of course, as you say, many of these crisis actors being recycled and used again and again and again. We have many, many examples over the years where that is happening. But also, I just want to say about the Fields incident, the shopping mall in Denmark. This was on the day when the Tour de France, which incidentally happened in Denmark, was the big international talk of the town here in Copenhagen, that all of that was gonna going to happen and start in Copenhagen and go towards France. And as I just said earlier in the show, that was thousands of bicycles, if you want to talk about subliminal messages, on that particular day. And also another thing is that just right next to the Field Shopping Mall, there's the Royal Arena, where the British pop star Harry Styles were going to do a big concert, and there were loads of teenagers there, and they of course made it a big international thing because of him being there. And also it directed the attention away from our Prime Minister's scandal about her giving the executive orders to kill 17 million mink here in Denmark, which has been the big scandal. And she did not get sentenced to anything or taken off her position. And that was the big topic. But suddenly now she's in black, mourning the three victims in field. So that's of course also some of the things that a lot of people are talking about when looking into what's going on in the media, on the political scene here in Denmark.
I tell you, it's interesting. It's really interesting when you start seeing these things, how they're carried out. Distraction. What are they distracting you away from? Look what is not happening because of this. And I think it's interesting also with this bicycle thing, because in 2017, I was blowing the whistle about Denmark, Copenhagen being hit by a terror attack. If you remember that, it was I was really on it because I thought now. And I was pointing out towards, it's like 5 round towers right by Tivoli. I can't remember the name of it. That would be the target. And I had people on location with cameras, everything. We saw, we really started seeing that it was going down. They started changing the bus routes. There were like roadblocks put up and stuff. And right that day, it was because the day that I predicted it would happen was the 9th of April, because they have these dates also from the Second World War at the time, 2017. 9th of April, 2017. And we were really on it, 24/7.
That was the Axel Towers, right? Next to the Tivoli. Yeah. The Axel Towers where they were building, actually, it was a building site after the old Scala went down, and then they built those big towers there. Yes, I do remember you talking about that. It was a huge building site in the center.
And that day, one of the reasons that was perfect, and also why they were redirecting everything, was because there was a massive big bicycle competition. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember that it was the bicycle competition that was claimed to be the reason they did all of it. But then instead, they hit Stockholm with the truck attack. And I think that was because too much attention there, and boom, they went for option B. There's an English company called Crisis Solutions, and they have a video where they show exactly how they do these things with multiple possible targets at the same time. So if there's obstruction in one area, they can go live on the next one. So indirectly, I feel responsible for Stockholm being hit in 2017. But there you go. You can only do your best. But anyway, this happened, this alleged stabbing of this key person in psychiatric mental whatever ward or whatever you call it in Sweden, was the victim of this whole thing. And it happened right outside Donner's Hotel. And Donner's Hotel, and you can see on that photo down to the left here, here's one of a guy that just looks like a tourist. I mean, we see people that looks like tourists, but he's putting away a cap, a police cap. This is the yellow and blue cap is the Swedish police cap, off duty, but also security. They have that. If something happens, boom, they put it on. So just because people look like tourists and stuff, like I tell you. So here we have right outside Donner's Hotel, and Donner is a very famous Finnish family in Sweden. You know, Jørn Donner was he was the producer of Fanny and Alexander that won an Oscar, I believe. So that word, we're back to the subliminal, pointing eyes would suggest possibly towards Finland, clues toward Finland. So I looked, okay, attack on Finland. Is there any signs of, and right today on July the 1st, 2022, they're releasing a film called Attack on Finland. You know, we're back to this whole thing with the films being prepared and then pointing where it's on Independence Day, the Finnish Independence Day. We just had the Highland Park attack on the Independence Day in the US. Here we have that, and it's funded. This Finnish film is funded by Universal Studios or something like a major production like that. So I have no idea. I'm just saying, they're pushing Sweden, they're pushing Finland to go into NATO. And then, so I would not be surprised if within the next 48 hours or whatever, suddenly we have an attack. And in that case, it seems
that's really horrendous. Lots of things are happening at the moment. Yes, now you're coming to the Japanese assassination. Yes, we're also going to talk about that. At the same time, they just reactivated CERN's Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, and they exploded the Georgia Guidestones. And now they took all of the Guidestones down, which is, of course, you know, creates a lot of speculation. Also to the number 17 and Q, was it real? Was a Q behind this, or was it the white hats? Or, you know, this is, of course, has been a symbol of the totalitarian one world government, new world order, and depopulation plan, the whole Georgia Guidestones. And then just the day before, they turned on CERN's big collider there. So I think there's a lot of things happening this summer. It's not really a summer vacation, is it?
Oh my God, no. But this is it. It's like boom, 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 boom. What is what? What is not? What is real? What is not? It's like, but the general agenda is that there is an attempt to a global overtake. That is it. You know, it's the fourth industrial revolution, the Agenda 21 that is trying to take over everything. The other things here are distractions or pull your mind that way, that way, that way, that way. And of course, there are conflicts inside these. Many think that, oh, the elite, they're like, they got one focus. No, they're sharks. These are greedy, extremely power-seeking super psychos, most of them. Believe you me, they are not just a friendly bunch of people. I think they're shit scared of each other as well. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I even spoke to do you know, when Lars Vilks, we were talking about that accident before, I was like, why did that happen at that time? Is there anything going on as a distraction? Yes, there was what was said to be a not memorial, but exhibition from about the alleged Holocaust in Malmö. But I have people that were working as security people on that, and they said that it was like a mini Bilderberg meeting, that there were all of these people, but they were like from Twitter and Facebook and all kinds of social media, Google people, but also Bilderberg members and stuff were coming to that place. There was nothing, it was not about the Holocaust at all. That was just a cover. But we were there focused on this accident, and there was a whole shebang in media. Oh my God, oh my God. Nobody looked at that. But this guy who was on the inside of this whole thing and told me about it said that it was incredible. It was like a Bilderberg meeting. But he said they had to pull people apart because they were physically fighting. I mean, they were. And I think that...
Well, inside of that meeting, they were fighting.
And I think that they were fighting, fist fighting. And I think that is a sign of desperation, you know. So I think there's so much going on, and this dark empire is falling apart. This is the last battle. They are putting everything in, because if not, and that's why they're pushing 5G so they can get the bandwidth going fast enough so they can activate the Internet of Things that would put us in a digital grid. That's the danger of 5G. It's super, super dangerous, that whole thing. But that is the push. So there's a whole lot of things going on. So let's just finish here soon with now yesterday, we were told that the former Prime Minister of Japan, the longest, I think he was the guy that has been the president for the longest time, Shinzo Abe, was assassinated. Okay, we look at that. And if you look at the news here, what they show is, for instance, here, this is taken straight from the news. You got the all-seeing eye, and then you got Shinto in the background, Shinzo. But look at it, it's almost like he's making this heart sign, but also it's like red, like blood. I'm just saying, pointing things out. I have no idea, coincidence or not. But let's look at the incident as well. We have the people commenting on it. What is her color? With the color of her shirt, the exact color. And then here he's lying down there. What is the focus of that photo? He's fiddling around with his shoes right in the face of that. That photo should not be. It's a horrible photo. Wait for the guy to step to the left so you get a shot of what. Or here again, look at they've arrested the guy. What are we seeing compared to the guy in Oslo? What you see are the shoes. You see the back of people. You see, oh, it's dramatic. What your subconscious see, the shoes. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then this guy, also, I want to say, apparently I didn't put it in there, but you see the weapon, which is a handmade gun, right next to the handmade gun. The only thing that is in that image are 2 feet with shoes on it, but it's 2 right feet, 2 different shoes. It's very odd. I mean, they have to stand on top of each other to be able to take that photo. It's very weird. But anyway, I just want to say that this Shinzo was invited for dinner a few years ago by Benjamin, Mr. Terror himself, Netanyahu. And as a dessert, they had made the dessert as a shoe, a black shoe. I mean, towards a Japanese to have even shoes indoors is so rude. So this whole thing made headlines all over the place. What is that?
So they're eating the dessert out from that leather shoe.
No, the shoe is
made of
that,
chocolate
I don't
or something.
know.
Or is it a real shoe?
Now you say it, I don't know. It really looks real to me, but
it does. That's insane. That really is insane, isn't it?
I mean, it is a message of some kind, and Benjamin Netanyahu is not known to be sort of a gentle individual. He has been all over the place when it comes to these terror attacks and all kinds of horror stuff. So for him to do a thing like that, it's an insult, it's a message, it's a show of domination. It's a powerful statement, so rude, so rude, or a death threat or whatever. I tell you, that shoe, it really looks real to me. It looks like a real shoe with a serviette and some stuff on top of it. It doesn't even look like a dessert. But look it up. I just
so there really could be maybe a connection with that, you think? I mean, it certainly is very, very eye-opening and kind of, I mean, it's beyond weird.
I'm pointing out things. I find things I don't always understand what is going on here. This is with all of the shoes that I pointed out, I don't think you can say, come on. Because this is only a few. I've got one presentation that I call the Soulless Shoes of Death, where I show them in the hundreds. I go through it just as long as this one, but doom, all of them connected with that. There's shoes all over the place, What is that?
And there's also a very, very dark, sinister symbolic ritual when you see somebody, especially from the Vatican and top officials, wearing red shoes.
That is also, these red shoes is a very, very bizarre part of this whole thing also. So the shoes have a very strong symbolism in it.
Yes.
So
I'll say.
Where next?
We're next, Ole. Yes, we're going on 3 hours now. So so this is like really amazing. This had nothing just specifically to do with what just happened in Denmark. And I think people that are watching this will really understand, how everything is connected. Are you finished with the PowerPoint, with the presentation? Can you make your can you make the screen show your face again? Yes, there you are. Yeah. Great. So this, of course, will tie a lot of red threads together, and people can really connect the dots themselves. I mean, everything is connected in a way. And of course, you've been working on this for such a long time, and you can see things when they happen. And there are still a lot more to reveal and to be revealed about what happened in Denmark as well. But I mean, it is a very, very crucial time. I mean, it's a very explosive time right now here in June and July 2022. Also with this symbolic explosion of the Georgia Guidestones. Isn't that remarkable?
It's I mean, I've said for a long time, why don't anyone get just a bulldozer and mow these things down? I mean, what the hell? It's awful for humanity. Take them down. No, you can't. It's private property. Well, somebody's doing horrible stuff to us. So I mean, when this happened, I don't know, did they do it themselves? Why did they tear them down? I mean, they weren't even that damaged from the explosion themselves. And then they say, oh, they see on the camera, they see a silver-colored car leave the area. Okay, so the cameras didn't show somebody get out of the car and place the bomb and all of these things. No, they only saw the car. Come on, it's like, for me,
they saw this the surveillance footage. Then you saw the explosion, but you don't know where it's coming from. And some people expect or suspect that it was lightning. But I mean, how obvious would that be?
Oh, come on.
Of course.
The smoke, and I mean, absolutely not. That is not.
But could it be the elites themselves that took it down? Yeah, because it has been a symbol of, it's like been a manifestation of the global conspiracy. People are pointing towards the Georgia Guidestones all the time. And now they want to get rid of it. So you can't point to that anymore and ridicule people for being conspiracy theorists.
I tell you, I think that we're onto something here, because what I get reports from different places in the world is that it seems like they're destroying evidence that can be used against them in the future. And also this is a sign of desperation, I feel, which is good for us, because there are all of these kind of underground bases being blown up, and also underwater bases that are being destroyed, and all kinds of things. People are pulling away. People are putting in doubles, that doesn't even look like themselves. They're withdrawing from the public area. What is going on? I think they're freaking out. And so this whole thing, I mean, if there was a minor explosion, boom. When you looked at it, I mean, it was only part of it that was damaged.
It was one of the walls, right? One of the walls that were exploded. That was kind of.
Then, I would say repair it if you wanted it still there. But here they sent in like a big digger and a bulldozer and knocked it down. So that shows, I think, that they're doing it themselves. This is from the inside. Otherwise, they would defend it. They would put like tanks around it and saying back off. Here they did the exact opposite.
Exactly. And it's not been major world news. It's been on the news. it has, but not in the same way than anything else. And certainly not here in Denmark, where everything has been, well, it was the focal point was the Tour de France. And then, of course, the mink scandal, because the prime minister gave these orders to kill 17 million minks. But then now, of course, it's the shooting at the shopping mall. So that's it's always interesting to see what is, what takes over the focal, what takes over the attention, and that's what you've been putting together, all of the dots here.
This standard procedure is if you're in a power position and you're starting to lose the grip, like Margaret Thatcher, when suddenly you're facing a major scandal or something. Distraction. Wag the Dog is a movie that shows exactly that. Why did Margaret Thatcher start a war against the Falkland Islands? Some rocks out in the middle of nowhere with 15 goats on it. Why did she do that? She united the whole country that was almost in a state of revolution, united it from an outer enemy saying, we're being attacked. And the whole England stood behind her when that whole war went down. It was a total, it made no sense whatsoever, but it was a perfect distraction. She became popular again. Here you have the Danish one who's messed up apparently with the minks or whatever, also connected to the elite big time. So here we have,
and we're going towards an election, and she's not been too popular after how she has handled the whole COVID era here with the lockdowns and the restrictions and everything else that we have talked about, which is so controversial. Obviously, the truth is controversial. And then, of course, the mink thing that I think where everybody can talk about it. Also, the people that believe in the whole COVID thing.
Somebody under pressure, find an outer problem, an outer woof woof boogeyman, whatever, and then step forward as a hero. So she will. I would not be surprised if suddenly this person steps forward and comes up with like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. And people will say, oh, that is amazing. And they will start applauding. Oh, my God, fantastic. And unite again. But the thing is, it doesn't really work anymore because it's too messed up. There's too much out in the open. Also with the whole COVID, with all of that, it's not easy for them to keep this. I think this dark empire is falling apart. And that is also why they're freaking out. In the US, I was informed, they're really trying to push anti-lynching laws. I didn't even know that it was legal to lynch. So why do you need anti-lynching laws? I think that's these people that are really freaking out, thinking, we need to do something here, because they're going to come after us.
Yeah.
So
let's really hope that somebody's cleaning up this whole mess now, because we are going towards this agenda 2030, and everything has played out the way that they wanted to and that they described already. But of course, more people are waking up, and there are also people, as you just said, that are working behind the scenes towards a better world and to stop this great reset and whatnot to happen. And what we are looking at now is, of course, which is already here, basically the food shortages, the meat shortages, and now the gas prices have skyrocketed to the roof, unbelievable. And then the financial crash. So, and we don't know what's going to happen also in the fall, if they're going to do more lockdowns and new variations and variants, whatever they want to put out there. So, so there's a lot to look for at the moment, and many, many dots to connect. And I think maybe we should keep in touch about, what's going to happen in the near future, because we're just in the middle of it right now. And it's been totally interesting to go down the memory lane and what's also been happening presently, which you've done today. It's been really, really fascinating and very informative for people. I just want to ask you if you have something you want to wrap up with or end with here today to tell people before we go.
I would like to say food shortages, electric bills, all of these things that are happening. I don't want to say all, but a lot of the so-called difficulties we are facing right now are designed. There is a war against us by a small little group of people that we've led into power positions, not smart of us, but we have. And we have put our faith in them. They have not used it in a good way. They've used it for their own interest. And now when they're trying to push us into a final corner where they can get us by the balls once and for all in a digital prison where we can be controlled, they are really pushing this agenda. So all of these things with food crisis and food shortages and whatever of these things, it is a coordinated operation to destabilize society. It's not only Denmark, it is in more or less every single country that I know of that are under the Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is a plan from hell. It is a plan from absolute hell, and it's made by former Prime Minister of Norway, Gro Harlem Brundtland, and Maurice Strong, both of them big up in the elite. They look nice, they're not. And the agenda is very clear. They want everything, all water, all air, all land, all property, all invention, all energy, all media, all police, all military, all assets, including your children. Their words, not mine. And they say, you will own nothing and you will be happy. I quote them. I say, if that is the way you want it, you live by example. You give up everything and show us by example how happy you are, and then we might follow. Up until then, this is what you can get from me. And so don't put your trust in them. See, they have been lying to you for so many years. If I had been lying to you for so many years, would you even listen to me? No. Why are we listening to them? Why are we waiting for them to solve the problems? They are the problems. They are the ones creating it.
Probably because so many people still believe them. I mean, most people, the majority of the population of the world, they still believe them, even though it's almost grotesque now what they put out there. It's so blatantly obvious, but a lot of people don't want to see it, and many people are Stockholm syndromed in a way, and they want to believe their controllers and their rulers, right?
I want to believe them as well. I like if they're kind. I like kind people that can take care of it if I have any problems. But they have shown and proven themselves over and over again that these people are not to be trusted at all. So it's just a matter of how can we solve this? And I would say by stop buying into the game. Stop being afraid. See that things like this is a joke. Many of these things, it's just a joke. I made a presentation a few years ago called Terror. Are you kidding me? I say it again. Are you kidding me? Do you really want to believe this type of crap? I mean, at least make an effort. Make it believable. I mean, come on. What I've shown, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And that we buy into it is even more ridiculous. So we should shape up. So I would suggest, when something scary happens, ask yourself, who benefits from me believing it? Who benefits from me believing? And then you can just see it happen right in front of your face. Something happens, boom, there's been a shooting here. Okay. And then, so this is how it goes. There's been a shooting, problem. The reaction, oh my God, how do they get the reaction? It would be on TV. The reporter, part of the operation, will be interviewing an eyewitness, part of the operation. So what happened? Well, this happened. There was an explosion. There were heads rolling all over. There were babies chopped up and kittens were being smashed to pieces. So we go, oh my God, emotional reaction. It's all normal marketing. Then wait for it. The reporter it would be problem, reaction, solution, because nowadays we're so fast to change channel. We can't focus on more than 10 seconds at a time because of fluoride or whatever. So they would say problem, oh my God, we react, and then the solution will be given. So wait for the solution. You can just sit and wait for it. And after all of these shootings and so on that happen, you can see as soon as you start seeing the shoes and the bikes and the crap and whatever, you see this is not real. This is not real. So the people that are stepping forward, holding the press conferences, are the ones that did it to us. They are the ones in charge of the investigation, of the patsy, of the evidence. So when they step forward and say, this has happened and it's really serious and 3 people have died and this and that, they are the ones. It's so helpful for us to just say, okay, there's one, tick the box. Remember the name, because you will see, if you go back in the history books, you will see, oh, he was in that and that one and that one and that one. That's the team that are doing it. Then you have everyone that is stepping forward are in it. The lawyers that they appoint to give the patsy like that, the patsy that are often a phantom identity, the lawyers are in it. The one in the court, the judge are in it. You can see them and just start mapping the whole thing. They are the ones doing it to us. So just say, I'm not accepting this anymore. I'm absolutely not saying go violent. I'm saying go no. No, you have to do this. Says who? I have to. You don't, then what? Then we will what? And then stop being afraid for what has not even happened yet. And just be and say, absolutely not. I'm going to enjoy life. I'm going to keep being like that. I refuse to let myself get scared shitless just because you say I have to be afraid of what? A virus I can't see, a shooting that is fake, a mass rape that never happened, this that never happened. It's propaganda on steroids. Don't buy into it. Take the power back, balance yourself, purify your mind, focus on beautiful things. What do you want out of future? When they say, you have to do this, this is what you can get from me. You have to do that. Otherwise, then what? You cannot come in here. Then I won't go in there. I will go that way. Well, you can't buy, then I will go that way. I will support local shops. I will look at local people. I will take care of my neighbors. We can help each other. We can grow stuff. We can take the power back. Well, then you can't have that. Then I will be without that. I'm fine. I don't need 15 microwaves. I don't need a car. I had a bicycle before. It's good. It took me all the way through Europe. You can do it if you want. Don't buy crap. Take back the power. Be peaceful and wonderful and strong and enjoy life. And let's meet on the other side of all of this.
Great. That's absolutely a wonderful message. And without fear and all of the beautiful things you just said there, people can more and more break away and out of this matrix and this paradigm and live, according to what is absolutely best for humanity, and on a soul level and on a physical level while we are here on this planet at the moment, and then understand how much theater is going on around us actually. And people, if they want to contact you, if they have some really crucial and vital information for your dot connecting, they can contact you via your website, which is lightonconspiracies.com, right? And
Dammegard.com.
Or Dammegard.com, and then it is DAMMEGARD, right? .com.
Yeah.
And to write to you with important information would be info@lightonconspiracies.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. I don't have any encrypted mails and stuff like that. I mean, the ones we're up against are the ones that invented encryption, so I don't believe in any protection. You have to live in your own balance and own strength and just get on with it. So yeah, info@lightonconspiracies and conspiracies, just like you said, .com, because there's more than one going on.
Certainly, and you have definitely shown us today how everything is connected. I think a lot of people has, acquired a lot of fascinating, vital, important information, and it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. I want to thank you so much, Ole Dammegard, on Bali right now, for being with us yet again on Age of Truth TV.
Thank you so much, Lucas, and don't worry, be happy and brave. That's it.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much to Ole Dammegard, and thanks to all of you for watching this live stream of Age of Truth TV. You can support us by clicking onto our website, ageoftruthtv. And please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell for notifications. You can also sign up for our newsletter on our website, ageoftruthtv as well. Please also subscribe to our alternative channels on BitChute and Brighteon. Your support is extremely needed, and we thank you all for watching. On behalf of the Age of Truth TV team, we'll see you again very soon.